Check out the incredible before and afters and make the call now while their summer savings event is still on. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Carl was a very safe cyclist. He was just a man who was trying to stay healthy.
I was riding along and I could see very well, but I didn't see something in front of me, and I flipped over the top and I landed on the back of my neck and ended up breaking my neck.
After his accident, we moved to Spokane because we physically could not get him into our house. Our daughter-in-law arranged for us to meet with 3 different law firms, and the Davis Law Group was the clear choice.
When I found out that the Supreme Court had ruled in our favor, I just remember that I was exhilarated. It was very elating. Chris did a great job.
Settling the case when we did, it means that we don't have to worry about stretching every single dollar. We always felt that they were going above and beyond.
Learn more about Carl's story at dlgstories.com/Carl.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. For over 50 years, Buc-ee's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. Buc-ee's is the largest independent family-owned chain in the Northwest. There's a Buc-ee's just about everywhere for factory maintenance, oil changes, wiper blades, air conditioning, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, everything you need to get you running smoothly this summer. No appointment necessary, and financing's available too. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and child care, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Kind of heading to the Mac and Jack's text line, talk a little bit more about Scott Service before we get Connor. I'll interrupt myself if we do get Connor. 360, Scott Service has never won and never will. He doesn't know how. Again, I just don't know how much. I have questions about how much of a hand the organization, the philosophy, everything has to do in some of the failures we're seeing with offense. Of course. I just don't know how much power today's modern MLB manager really wields.
Yeah, their job are to make decisions where they can, to lead their team, and do it with whatever is given to them. Like, do you think, I don't know, throw one of the most popular managers out there, that he's going to go on this team and have a win more for the Gipper type speech before the game, and all of a sudden these players are going to come out and they're going to win? Nah, when the greatest leaders on teams, professional teams especially, are great delegators, because they understand, look, I can't be everywhere at one time, and maybe this person knows more about this area than I do, but it's my job just to lead and make sure things are on point, man. So it's, I don't think, some people don't understand because they've never been on a team at the highest level or coached at all at a high level.
Yeah.
So they don't understand, but Scott cannot do everything.
Let's talk football. Sports Illustrated and MMQB senior writer Connor Orr joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Connor, how's it going?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. We have so many things to talk to you about. It's been a really fascinating offseason. We're going to start with the annual tradition from Sports Illustrated, your 100 bold predictions for how the 2024 season will play out. What's the wildest prediction in the past about a season that you've actually gotten right?
Oh, man.
You can say
that's
a
good
lot.
Question. Well, no, well, it's quite the opposite, right? But last year I predicted that during the third quarter of like a Cardinals game that someone's wife would leave them. And I don't know whether that's true or not, but if it is, that would be pretty wild, right? That's a life-changing
Totally
experience,
life-changing. Yeah.
Connor, man, I love some of your takes, and I'm going through your playoff newbies. And you got a good list here. And I also love that you put out at the expense of who. And you got the Colts getting in at the expense of the Houston Texans. So you're not buying in on the hype with C.J. Stroud and all the acquisitions they've made. You think they have a sophomore slump?
Well, I don't know if it's a sophomore slump or not, but you have to look at it as the Colts scored more points than the Texans last year. Yes, Texans defense is really good. And Houston's one signature win, you could say, was against Joe Burrow when he was finally healthy, and it was the week before he broke his wrist. Otherwise, I mean, you beat Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill. Jacksonville wasn't really a world beater last year. Your big playoff win was against Joe Flacco, and it was amazing to me that it took 6 weeks for someone to figure out that you should pass rush a 40-something-year-old quarterback. And so I think that a lot of the hype really comes at the heels of, you have a tailwind. You have a really fortuitous schedule, and sometimes you look a little bit better than you do. Then once you get that first place schedule the following year, you do kind of hit a little bit of a regression. Meanwhile, Indianapolis played a lot of teams tough when Anthony Richardson was healthy, and I'm wondering if they can continue that because, they almost made the playoffs. They were a game behind Houston last year with Gardner Minshew for the whole season.
You also have, as a separate column, I'm kind of getting away from what we're talking about, but in a separate column, you wrote about Will Levis kind of being one of your underrated favorites for a potential Pro Bowl campaign. Are you just in general, do you find yourself higher on the AFC South than maybe some of your colleagues?
Well, I don't know if it's higher, but like every division's kind of its own entity, right? And if you're in a division where there's a lot of teams who are still trying to figure things out, or there isn't that really, that one pronounced world beater out there, then I think there's room for growth because inevitably you're going to have, 2, 3, 4 games on the schedule every year that are just a little bit easier or a little bit lighter on you. But Will Levis and Brian Callahan is going to be a fun combination. I think Will Levis is a really fun player. I mean, I talked to coaches last year before the draft who thought that this guy had Matt Ryan type upside and that he might be the second or third best quarterback in that draft. We don't know until he gets the right infrastructure, the right coaches. And so having him with Brian Callahan, who was really helpful to Joe Burrow early on in his career, I think that's going to be really interesting.
I've been swayed a little bit. This weekend, I got a chance to meet and play golf with Justin Herbert. And after meeting him, just him being just one of the nicest dudes I've ever met, I'm rooting for him naturally. And I think he has one of the strongest arms in the game. I think he's super talented. But after meeting him, I'm rooting for him now. Why do you think the Chargers are a team that people should be watching for?
Well, first, you have to look at that schedule. I mean, they have that last place schedule. There's a real benefit to them finishing last season the way that they did. They have a lot of, I'm not going to call them easy games, right, because there's no such thing, but a lot of winnable games on that schedule, and they're clumped together to the point where really I think Pittsburgh is the hardest game that they have over the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. I mean, they could be undefeated heading into their bye week, or at least undefeated heading into that first Chiefs game. So I think that has a lot to do with it, just building momentum. And, Harbaugh and that new regime have understood, I think, what the Chargers have needed to understand for years but never really accomplished, which is to get tougher. I mean, they need to get tougher through the middle, right? They need to get tougher up front. And this was just a team that had a lot of really good star players, but not that foundational strength and toughness and ability to push people around like a lot of those teams in that conference.
Connor, you're not a Seahawks fan, a Seahawks reporter, and so I always like asking kind of your outside opinion on the Seahawks because it's not shaded, right, by like, well, I really think if we did that, like a little tab of homerism that we all have. Now, you did not take the Seahawks to win a Super Bowl, which is very forgivable, especially since I like your Super Bowl winner. But how do you see Seattle just kind of this season, their ceiling and maybe just something about the team that is interesting to you?
So I think that Seattle may finish the season outside of the playoffs, but I think they might finish the season as the team where everyone's like, whoa, there's some very cool stuff happening there. And I think that's like it's almost like the Rams circa 2 years ago, right, where they were doing really neat, cool, interesting things, but just didn't quite have the guys yet, or they didn't really have anything in place. But everything I've heard about this offense is very, very exciting. I think it has the potential to look different than anything we've seen in the NFL. And Mike McDonald's clearly brilliant, right? I mean, he got that job for a reason. Every coach that you've talked to who has worked with him said that this is one of the smartest defensive coordinators that they've ever come across. And so I think it's, it'll be fun. This will be a fun season to be a Seahawks fan. They've had the same head coach for a long time. They've done things the same way for a long time. They've looked similar for a long time. So I think it's going to be a fun, but maybe not necessarily fortuitous season for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Connor, people have been calling me crazy because I understand Caleb Williams and his talent. I understand the talent that's going to be around him. But I also know that Chicago does not do a great job of developing quarterbacks and that he's a rookie, and it's rare that a guy comes in and has a season like C.J. Stroud had his first year. And I go, look, he's going to struggle a little bit. He's going to have those plays where you're like, wow, I see that talent. But I also think he is going to struggle a little bit. What do you expect out of Caleb Williams his first year?
I'm hearing a lot of good things about Caleb so far. Like, I think that the Bears are happy with him. I think his teammates are happy with him. He seems to get it. And I think that, what we saw with Stroud last year, right, is you can take a very complex offense, NFL offense, like the one that Kyle Shanahan runs, and then you can put some, I'm not going to say simplify because it's nothing about that process is simple, but you can get it to the point where a rookie quarterback can run it and feel pretty confident in it. And this is the same kind of deal where Shane Waldron comes from that Sean McVay tree. I think that there is a world where Caleb Williams looks really good and really comfortable, maybe by, week 7 or 8. And he has some of the veteran guys around him to help. I would not be surprised if they make the playoffs. Like, I think this team is really good, and they're doing what smart teams do, which is they're making the roster good before they draft the quarterback, whereas a lot of these other teams are depending on the quarterback to help them facilitate the turnaround. But I always think they get that backwards.
Now, you don't have like a major team like the Chiefs falling off. You predicted that they would lose to the Bengals in the AFC Conference Championship game, which, yeah, I feel like that's a believable world. You know what I mean? And really, we're focused on the Hallmark movie anyways. Like, that's really the top story for me with the Chiefs. But
now we're talking.
Exactly. Yes. But is there any team where you saw a little fall from grace or maybe some potential to take a step back?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dallas is the big one for me. And maybe I'll be wrong, and I've received a lot of pushback from that market in particular. But I've never seen a team that close to a championship just behave as if there was nothing that they could do to get any better, and there was an indecision on the head coach. You basically have the entire organization going in to the final year on 1-year contracts. So everything's tense. Nobody feels secure. Nobody feels valued there. You haven't paid any of your tentpole stars, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Parsons. Nobody's under contract. Well, Mike is under contract, but his contract's expiring.
Right.
So I feel like there's not going to be a ton of great vibes there. And your big offseason acquisition was, I don't know, re-signing your long snapper and bringing back a 29-year-old Ezekiel Elliott, which I'm sort of dumbfounded, I guess is the word, and I think that a lot of people are when Jerry Jones says that they're all in.
All right, let's bring this thing home, man. NFC West. You got the Rams, Niners, obviously, Seahawks, and the Cardinals. There are some people thinking that the Cardinals have a better year than the Seahawks. We are optimistic here. I would say half of our listeners believe in Geno. The other half are kind of like, we shall see. But I believe in the pieces around him, and I think the defense is going to improve. How much improvement, I'm not sure. I'm thinking like 9 or 10 wins. And then obviously you get into the playoffs is contingent on everybody else and what they do in the division. What do you see for the NFC West and specifically the Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, I think somewhere in that 7 to 10 range, and then you figure the bounce of a football, a tipped pick or whatever, and, it kind of tilts that one way or the other. I don't think Geno's going to be any worse than that. And again, I really, really think that he could have maybe his best statistical season. I think his numbers are going to be really good. I don't think Geno Smith is going to be the problem here. I think the problem is just that the rest of that division is really good. And if you look at the Cardinals in particular, there's like an 8-game stretch in the middle of that season where they play some of the worst teams in the NFL back to back to back to back to back. So if they get things humming, if Kyler Murray's healthy, Marvin Harrison Jr. comes around. Like, you remember how tough they played last year. if they start putting some W's on the board, it just, that's going to come at the expense of the Seahawks maybe once or twice. So I'm very interested in sort of the third and fourth place finishes in that division because I think the two of them will be pretty competitive in that spot.
Last question for me. You wrote Justin Fields will score at least 5 touchdowns as a non-quarterback. What's happening with the Steelers is one of the more interesting quarterback situations. There's also a really fascinating quarterback situation in Atlanta, though I think it's just Kirk's game and Kirk's team for right now. But which is more intriguing to you of the two?
I think, Pittsburgh, there's no doubt. And, Pittsburgh made the playoffs last year with Kenny Pickett, and he threw 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's a wild stat.
Is wild, right? And obviously Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph and, all those guys were in there. So if you put them into a composite of one person, it looks a little bit better. But Russell Wilson was shoved out of Denver and had 26. And so, his floor is much different than the floor of the quarterback position before. And so I'm really interested to see what happens there. It's hard for maybe Russell to change his stripes as much as Mike Tomlin and Art Smith would want him to. And to have that other guy in Justin Fields some people didn't see it. I thought he got a lot better towards the end of last year as a more complete quarterback. I think Fields will push him all through the offseason and into the regular season. I don't see any reason to not have the two of those guys in the field at the same time. I think they're both really talented. So I'm fascinated to see what Mike Tomlin does. He's got the contract. It's not like he's got to worry about keeping his job. He can take some chances.
Last one I got for you. Everyone's trying to figure out what kickoff and kick return is going to look like. We've heard people say, I think it was the Bears actually that said, I'm going to put anyone back there with a helmet on who can kick the ball and tackle. I mean, what are your expectations for the new kickoff rules? And do you think it'll make the game more exciting, or is it going to look like JV football on a Wednesday? Guys is trying to figure things out.
It'll start out like JV football, right? And then it'll be pretty cool because there's people's jobs on the line, right? People got to figure it out. People got to make it look cool, or else the team will find somebody else. Special teams coordinator is one of the easiest major positions on your staff to change. It's not like one of those things where there's going to be this massive amount of upheaval and everybody upset. I mean, special teams coordinators are kind of nomads, even though some of them have been pretty tenured. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Kick return is such an exciting play, and the position players kicking, which again I think is really smart because you want that extra tackler on the field. Just adds to the fun, and really, that's what I think we've gotten away from, right? A little bit. Like the NFL has become very corporate. We spend a lot of time discussing what a catch is, and in reality, they juked the rules in the 70s to make punt and kick returns more enjoyable, and that's what brought a lot of people to football in the first place. So.
He is Sports Illustrated and MMQB senior writer Connor Orr, kind enough to join us to talk Seahawks, talk NFL. His latest 100 predictions for the 2024 NFL season is up right now on SI.com. It's a really fun read. Connor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's get to Headline Rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline Rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, Teoscar Hernandez tops ESPN's David Schoenfield's list of the top under-the-radar free agent signings. What's the real headline?
Well, at least the Mariners got rid of those strikeouts, right? Right?
I think so, right?
Yeah. Right?
They got rid of his strikeouts.
His strikeouts. They added more.
Yeah.
They added Jorge Polanco's strikeouts, but they got rid of Teos.
Got rid of Teos.
Now you're looking at it
That's
the right
how
way.
Man, we're baffled, right? Is it the hitter's eye? Is it the philosophy? Is it the weather? Is it the environment? Who knows? But Teoscar showed that he's back to his normal self. This is the Teoscar that the Mariners thought they were getting. Unfortunately, they got a different version of that guy. It hurts to see your ex move on and do better.
Truly.
But you also, I hate seeing Suarez not do as well. I was really rooting for Kelnick to see if he does his thing.
You're simultaneously rooting for your ex to do better.
Just not that much better.
Not better than me.
Yeah, exactly.
211 strikeouts from Teo in 2023. The Mariners also, now this is all rumored, maybe needed to shed a little bit of payroll. That was the theory. But they certainly wanted to get rid of strikeouts. That was something they did make clear. And so maybe 2 birds with 1 stone, that situation, and moving on. Now, he's not necessarily really cut down on those strikeouts with the Dodgers. It just doesn't matter as much because he's contributing offensively. Maybe that's as simple as playing at Dodger Stadium compared to T-Mobile Park. David Schoenfield pointed out that last year, the Dodgers no doubt noted that Hernandez hit .295 with an .830 OPS on the road. That was compared to just a .643 OPS at T-Mobile Park.
There's also more pressure to win as a team in LA, but less pressure to lead as an individual on that team. Because you got some names over there and some ballers. They went out and spent a lot of money. Less pressure on Teo. I'm sure that helps.
Headline rewrites.
Headline 2. The Atlanta Hawks
broke for a minute.
drafted
Valeria Baldwin?
Zachary Risache as the number 1 overall pick. Bronny James remains on the board going into Thursday's second round. What's the real headline?
Wildly good French accent.
Thank you.
Bronny's expected to go in the 50s, and the Lakers are picking there too. That's it. I kept it simple.
Bronny ain't coming to LA.
Bronny's going to LA.
He ain't, man. If it happens, I'll be happy for him, not for my team.
Matt.
We got a lot of work to do.
I love that music. It just puts you in a happy mood.
I feel like you wanted to just speak in a French accent so badly.
I mean, you're right.
You sound like the guy from Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobet? What was his name?
Sacha Baron Cohen played his name.
You sound. That's what I saw. That was pretty good. You should do voiceovers in like cartoons.
I think you should do your French accent for when you're getting really elitist. You know what I mean? So, yes, when you can say French names, but also maybe when like you just want to be able to look down on the rest of us. You simply do not understand.
You do not understand.
What's next?
Headline rewrites.
It was Jean Girard in Talladega Nights. Headline number 3, the Storm are hosting Caitlin Clark tonight in the Indiana Fever. What's the real headline?
And you thought beer prices at Climate Pledge were already expensive.
Man.
Let me tell you what. Get ready to open up that wallet.
$20 for a tall boy these days at Climate.
A hard seltzer is like $20, but my mind is blown every time.
Crazy.
I can get a 6-pack for that.
Crazy. I go with my wife and I'm like, should I just get 2 or just 1 this time around? You know? She's like, might as well get 2. But anyway, back to Caitlin Clark. She's averaging 16.3 a game. She's getting better. 6.6 assists per game. She's only not led her team in assists 1 game this year. They've won 4 of the last 5. Last time I went to the game when she was here the first time, and the Storm just beat her up. Lloyd was the best player on that court. She is a beast. So, though I want you to have a great Caitlin Clark experience tonight.
It's my first time watching.
Stacey's going.
Thank you.
I want Lloyd to put the clamps on her, though, and do her thing.
I do, too. I'm absolutely going to be going for the Storm. The Storm heavily favored in this one, as they should be, against a Fever team that, while you mentioned is on a little bit of a streak, is overwhelmingly not as good. But it is interesting going to a game. You're rooting for your hometown team. You're rooting for the Storm, who have had a really good season. But you're also low-key going to watch an opponent. Like, it's kind of it would be like, I can't think if there's ever been a Seahawks game I've gone to where I specifically, I've never gone as a fan, but maybe a game I've gone to specifically to watch another player.
I've played in games, and I probably said this story before. I've played in games where we play Reggie Bush, and I go, all right, as soon as my team is on defense, let's just see what he's going to do.
You're like watching as a fan.
I don't want you to win. You're probably going to win anyway, but I just want to see what you do.
Well, it's just also crazy Curtis pointed out the ticket prices. We made a joke about beer prices. That's not just because it's a random Thursday. It's Caitlin Clark. It's just wild and anyone trying to take it away and say she doesn't deserve it, it is what it is. Like, it's not something that she has earned so far per se at the professional level. It just is what it is. Fame just exists, and storylines and attention just exists. Like, sometimes it's this just big thing that just picks people.
And revenue is up when she's in town.
Yeah, like those are just real things that happen. So you can stand on, your pedestal and say she doesn't deserve it, she hasn't earned it yet, but it's there.
It's there.
So
you'll feel it when you walk into that Climate Pledge.
Wild.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
On Saturday, July 6th, Jackson Smith and Jigba host the Seattle All-Star Softball Classic, presented by Waze Lifestyle at Cheedy Stadium. Tickets are going fast, so get yours today. The Seattle All-Star Softball Classic features your favorite athletes and celebrities and benefits several local 501c3 organizations. So come out and support a great cause. Tickets start at just $25 with food, drink, fun, and games for the whole family. To buy tickets and for more information, visit SeattleAllStarClassic.com.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Window Nation can help beat the heat in your home with a buy two, get two free offer on insulated, energy-efficient windows plus 0 down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Schedule an in-home estimate now at 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Bonneville, Seattle, and Seattle Sports are looking for organizations that regularly distribute information about employment opportunities to job applicants or have job applicants to refer. If your organization would like to receive notifications of job vacancies, please notify Human Resources at 1820 Eastlake Avenue East, Seattle, Washington 98102. Or email us at seattlealljobs@bonneville.com. Or call 206-726-6902. Bonneville is an equal opportunity employer.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports Station.
Here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
All right, joining us right now, Bob Nightingale on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Bob, how's it going?
Yeah, doing well. How about you guys?
Doing good. We're trying to figure out what I should bring to a barbecue. And what's your favorite thing to eat?
Fried chicken. I go fried chicken and a macaroni and cheese. Do that every day.
Solid answer. Solid choice. Now, Bob, before you joined, we were also, that was our relief, right? Because before this fall, we were talking about the Mariners offense and just how atrocious it's been. Are they worse than you expected?
Yeah, you just keep, they have too much talent to be hitting that poorly. I know they already fired their hitting coach and stuff. You keep waiting for it to, to come on. And they're not this bad. I mean, it'll get better. It has to.
Where everyone's a swing coach now, Bob, if you didn't know, here in Seattle. Everyone's trying to figure out what's going on with Julio. And I've heard so many theories, but I also look at what he's done to get himself here, and I go, well, you can't switch it up that much, right? It's gotten you so far, and you've had success doing it. Have you seen an instance where someone just changed their swing completely at this level?
They have, but certainly not in mid-season. You don't want to do that. It's funny. Then in Arizona, the runaway rookie of the year, was Corbin Carroll, a Seattle native. And same thing, people going crazy. What happened to Corbin Carroll? Sometimes it's just a matter of adjustments, and they're making adjustments to him, and he needs to adjust back. But it's not like, maybe he thinks he's hurt or something has gone terribly awry. These things happen. It's just painful to watch him go through it. At the same time, remember last year he had a slow start as well.
When you're looking at offenses around the league, obviously Seattle falls far behind a lot of them. We've been talking about who they can add at the deadline. Is there a bat that might be available that you think this would actually be a huge boost to a bat offense?
I mean, it's a minor move. I like a guy like a Tommy Pham. I mean, you saw what he did with the Diamondbacks last year, a real fiery competitor. And, you're not talking about, giving up, a top prospect by any means. Maybe a 15th to 20th type prospect, so nothing's going to hurt you. But a guy like that, I don't see a Pete Alonso being available, not as long as the Mets are hanging around. Diamondbacks have Christian Walker. He's a free agent, but they're still hanging around. So I think it's got to be just a couple of moves. Yeah.
Hey, Bob, no matter what happens, no matter what moves they make, it has to start from within. And DePoto has gone out there and said that. Service has said it in so many ways. But people don't want to hear that. Julio has to get going. France got to get going. Cal has to get going. When you look at this roster, do you feel like there is enough for them to turn it around if they add it back to the situation if these guys perform the way that they're expected to?
I do. I just don't think that, I don't think they're that far away. They're facing good pitching too, like last night. But yeah, those guys, all have a track record. It's, they've all done this before. And a lot of times one guy breaks out, then it's a trickle down, then everybody starts breaking out. So I see the same thing happening. So they have to make a couple of minor moves. Like I said, I'm a Tommy Pham type of guy. It's not going to be a headline or something like that, but just to throw a name in there and maybe that sort of thing to get guys going. But the bottom line is Seattle has what everybody covets, and that's that starting pitching. Everybody wishes they had that kind of starting pitching. And that's what wins you in October. So for Mariners that say, just get in, and nobody wants to face those guys in October, not Baltimore, not the Yankees, or anybody.
I don't think Seattle's going to move on from any of those starters, right? I think they'd rather deal from their farm system. Do you think that's probably going to be a common ask for teams looking to trade, though?
I think that'd be dangerous to trade away a young star like that, just because, we've seen so many injuries. You hate to trade someone away, and all of a sudden you need that person. Come playoff time, obviously you don't need 5 starters. just 4 or sometimes 3 in earlier rounds, you have to use those starters in the bullpen to make you, a really deep bullpen. So I think as long as the Mariners get in, that's a dangerous team. I remember when they faced the Astros the first round a couple of years ago, the Astros were scared to death. And once they got past Seattle, they cruised the World Series. So that pitching can shut down any team in baseball.
A lot of our listeners are begging for the Mariners to play small ball. This team was constructed at the beginning of the season just to put the ball in play and move runners across the bases and see what happens there. But on the flip side, they've been hitting more home runs than expected. When you hear just play small ball, what is that? What do you hear, and is that a solution for these guys?
Well, it's funny, those years, and they weren't getting anywhere in the postseason. They're getting there, then stopping. But now Cleveland's hitting home runs and stuff, and they're a juggernaut. The best record in in baseball, at least the American League. So, since you need that slot, I can see why I can say that. But the trouble now, when the average batting average is 242, to play small ball means you better have 3 or 4 guys get hits in a row. And that doesn't like that happens with anybody.
Hey, I wanted to take a look at how some of these really, really good AL teams were built because they've done it in different ways, right? The Yankees aren't afraid of making a big trade, spending big. They've also developed nice guys. The Orioles have taken a more interesting approach, and since we're facing them this week, I figured I'd ask your take on the Orioles and how they've been built, what you like about them.
Well, the Orioles are taking their GM used to be assistant GM with the Astros. So it's a carbon copy approach to what Houston did, where you not only stink, but you stink to the high heavens, and you get the number 1 draft pick year after year. And they've been hitting on the draft, but they should be good. They were losing 110 games a year. So a lot of fan bases can't stomach something like that. I'm sure Mariners fan base can't stomach that. So they did it that way, and the Yankees, hey, you buy, you try to develop. I think the best example in baseball as far as just buying and developing at the same time is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They do a great job developing their young guys, and their 5th-round draft picks, 3rd-round draft picks. Obviously, they're always drafting toward the bottom, and look what they do. They have a lot of homegrown players, plus buying at the same time.
Obviously, we're trying to fight off the Astros here in Seattle, and they've been on the run. They swept Baltimore in late June, got rid of the Rockies, easy work. When you look at this team and how they're winning ball games, is how they're doing things sustainable, even with all the injuries they have to the arms over there.
Yeah, 7 straight ALCSs for a reason. They've all been there, done that. Experienced group, so they weren't panicking when everybody says, okay, the team is done. And, it's amazing with all those pitching injuries, what they're doing. They've been without Kyle Tucker, an all-star right fielder. Alex Bregman had a real slow start. So, but we'll see how long it lasts. I think they had a soft part of their schedule as well. So, upon the Mariners, I'm more concerned with the Texas Rangers, particularly because, the Rangers are going to get those guys back, like Jacob deGrom, Tyler Mahle, Scherzer just came back, that sort of thing. So, but, hey, as Arizona Diamondbacks proved last year, and what the Texas Rangers proved, you just get in the playoffs and anything can happen.
Do you expect the Astros to be buyers because they're closing that gap?
I do. But even with the buyers, we only have like 5 teams out of the race. I think Jerry DeBoto said the other day there's only 2 or 3 teams that are being aggressive. The White Sox are one of them. So it's not a whole lot to buy out there. It's going to be a great buyer's market. So those teams are just kind of sitting back and waiting for teams to come to them, the last, 72 hours before July 30th. So, it's not like there's not like a lot of studs, on the trade market that can suddenly, turn a team around. There's not a Juan Soto out there, for instance.
Who's your sneaky team in the AL? Who's a team that maybe people aren't really paying attention to, but you feel like can make some noise here?
I think the Minnesota Twins keep that team. They seem like they're always banged up. They're 10, 11 games over 500. But Cleveland has the nice advantage there. I still think Seattle's a sneaky team, even though they're in first place. But I still think people are overlooking them. When they play Baltimore and the Yankees or so in the first round, it surprised me at all to see the Orioles knocked them off. I'm not sure there's anybody else in the the AL East besides the two big boys that scare you. I know Boston's hanging around. I'm not sure that's going to continue. AL Central, I think Kansas City away. Then the West, you still got. If I want to go one stinky team, is still Texas. I just can't believe they're playing this poorly. I just don't see it lasting either.
He is USA Today's Bob Nightingale, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kid kind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Ready for some summer hoops? Register your team for the Everett 3-on-3 tournament, presented by Boeing in downtown Everett, July 13th and 14th. 4 players to a team and 2 days of exciting action. Players of all ages and abilities are encouraged to come out and play. Team registration has been extended to July 8th. Register your team by July 8th at Everett3on3.net. That's Everett3on3.net. A special thank you to event sponsors Amazon, Boys and Girls Clubs, McNaughton Foundation, and Coastal Community Bank.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Dead battery on America's birthday? America's #1 battery destination is here to help. AutoZone has free battery testing and charging at every store, and batteries starting at just $79.99. With our 4th of July sale, we have savings to help you red, white, and do any other jobs you've been putting off. It's everything you need to get back on the road at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Are you tired of losing weight just to see it all come back again? Summer is around the corner and you want to look and feel like yourself again, but getting back on that frustrating weight loss roller coaster is the last thing you want to do. You've heard about the new drugs but are concerned with the possible side effects, or you're taking weight loss drugs but also want to learn how to change your lifestyle for long-lasting results. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle strategies. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Losing the weight is great, but maybe the best part of this program is the sustainability, what comes afterwards, because it doesn't really matter how much weight you lost if you're not able to keep it off, and Eastside's program is fantastic.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-522-5070 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Sinking or uneven concrete around your home? You need to call Matt Vey Foundation Repair.
Hi, I'm Matthew Cote with Matt Vey Foundation Repair. If you have an uneven, cracked driveway, sunken sidewalk, or sagging cement porch, we offer an easy and cost-effective solution.
When you call Matt Vey, you'll get a realistic bid, meticulous cleanup, and a lifetime warranty. No one else offers that kind of guarantee. For your free evaluation, call 8449-MATT-VEY or visit gomattvey.com.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on seattlesports.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Jerry Dipoto was on MLB Network Radio's The Front Office, so let's get to the latest from the Mariners president of baseball ops. See if I can run through all of these. We're going to start with Jerry Dipoto talking about the start to the season, where he hopes offensive help comes from.
We've put ourselves in a really good position, despite the fact that I really don't think that we've hit on our 100th percentile. It's been a really topsy-turvy first half for us, particularly on the offensive side, and it's been run scoring has just not been consistent for us. And, it's an area that we think we can improve a lot internally. And obviously, as we head into July, it's an area that we can try to address, or at least help push a little bit.
All right, meaning we recognize we may have to look elsewhere for help.
That's good. First sign of admitting you have a problem, or, getting over it, is admitting that something needs to be done. And imagine if he didn't say that, how crazy he would sound and how crazy these text lines would get. So
they'd lose their minds.
Yeah, they lose their minds. So good for you, Dipoto.
A team that they wanted to be was one to put the ball in play more often. A team they became was one that hit a lot of home runs. You've been tracking this all season long. It's just kind of a weird thing. Jerry Dipoto knows that too.
We're really not creating as much traffic as we would like to create on the bases. We do hit homers and we take our walks, and that's an area that we've always, this group has always excelled in, and that really keeps us afloat offensively.
Haven't created as much traffic on bases as we hoped we would.
And then when you do, you haven't been successful in driving them in. I believe they were something like 4 for 38 the last series of runners in scoring position. Yeah, you got to get them on, facts, but then you got to do something when they're on. I see 2-out doubles so many times, and then next guy comes up and I go, all right, let's see if something happens, and then nothing happens. So,
yeah, with the double.
Yeah, so far, my man is 2 for 2.
I know.
He's 2 for 2.
All right, let's get to the part of the interview that was most interesting to me. It's kind of 2 parts. The first is him talking about the trade market. It's a tricky one.
If we can do something to add to this club and help that offense, and we have had a very difficult time offensively, and we're hitting for an incredibly low average, and we're striking out way too much, and it's plagued us all year long. And a lot of the improvement, again, is going to have to come internally, but there are avenues to go out and help this team in other ways. And as you know, we'll explore all of them. But right now it's a funny market. Whoever you think is available may not be, and there's a lot of teams that are close enough that you just don't know what's going to be available to you.
Here's what else makes it a weird market.
I would say, if I'm ballparking, there's probably less than 2 or 3 teams that are actively looking to move in a sell direction. And that makes it really hard to identify where you might be able to upgrade or who those players might be. And I think it's going to require a greater degree of patience. And, if at least the calendar is sizing up that, while most of the activity in the trade deadline is typically at the very end, this year might be even more extreme in that way.
I know I'm going back to back to back with cuts, but it's a part of a larger point. So I'm going to have you react to all of this by asking, how does this make you feel? Here's the last one. We know the market's tough. We know it's tricky. We know it's a seller's market. So Jerry Dipoto talks about what the biggest help could be.
I mean, it's something we think about every day. And I look at our team, and we might not be able to magically overhaul the offense over the next, we'll call it 30 days or so. But we feel like we can help it. And the biggest assist that's going to come from our offense is the players we have that have had middling first halves just stepping up and doing what they do. And we have so many talented players that have generally not really hit on who they are.
We think about adding every day, but the biggest help will be the guys in the lineup playing like they're capable of.
As much as people want to jump on Jerry, I hear no lies being told here. You have to look at the market, what teams are struggling, and if they're willing to sell some of their players, right? You don't control the market controls itself. You got to react to it. He mentioned you can't just overhaul the offense and you're going to be fixed. You do have to get guys on your team to start swinging the bat, connecting with the rock, putting it in play, getting on base. There are things that need to happen with this team regardless if you get a bat or not. So I hear someone living in reality right now. I know people expect Dipoto to hop on the mic and give you the master plan of how this team is going to be fixed, but it has to start internally. And then you can start adding. But you can only add what's available. When you look at the teams who are struggling right now, do you want pieces on that team? Nobody wants anybody from the A's. I mean,
right. Outside of Luis Robert.
Yeah, that's about
starter.
it, honestly. I'm sure there are guys out there. The biggest name, I would say, that's the biggest name on the team that's struggling the most. Other than that, it sounds like they're probably going to get a couple guys that are going to overwhelm you, but you need this team to start hitting regardless.
Yeah, I think so. I saw these cuts, and we all listened to them for the first time. This interview just happened earlier today, or excuse me, it happened on yesterday. But I saw it initially and thought, this feels like Jerry Dipoto walking back. I don't want to say walking back. He never came out and said, we're going to make a huge move. Get ready. Hang on to your seats. We're going to trade for Luis Robert. We're going to make a push for Vlad. But kind of maybe walking back the expectation that they will by saying, this market is tough. This is a seller's market. What he didn't say is, there's a lot of NL teams that are in a wild card race right now that may not be giving up on guys, right? Yeah. Teams that have losing records or are really struggling, hovering around 500, or might be buyers to try to push for a wild card spot there. Meanwhile, in the American League, if you have a team that's obviously losing, like Toronto, well, maybe they want to hang on to Vlad and Bo because they think that they can turn it around and they want to build because those guys are young, or try for one more season. Like, there are guys that seem like they could be sellers that may not be. We thought the Mets would be dealing with Pete Alonso. Well, they're back in it. So it is complicated. And you're right. Like, he's telling the truth. To me, it sounds like a front office that is willing to add help, though not planning on making a huge move.
You know what's messed up? Maybe it's messed up, maybe it's not. That he is saying exactly what everyone thought he was going to say, but he's being honest about the situation. If there were a bunch of guys out there, a bunch of bats out there that were producing like crazy and that were available, and they didn't go after him, then you can feel some type of way. But I feel like he's being honest. I'm looking at the teams that are struggling and what's out there, and I don't really see much. So as underwhelming as it's going to be, and things could change in the next, 2 or 3 weeks, I think he's telling the truth.
From the 360, it just shows they need to do more in the offseason. Can't rely at the deadline to fix issues.
Yeah,
I do think that's true, right? Sure. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
I understand the difficulty of free agency if you're a team that kind of has to compete as a landing spot with other teams that are just a little more tempting, right? Like, if you're a player choosing where to go, you look at the Mariners, who can say, we're really exciting, we're building, we've got good stuff. If you're a pitcher, you're going to love it here. If you're a hitter, you might see some subdued offense. So I get why going to the Dodgers or going to, I don't know, any other team, the Yankees, might be far more tempting. So there are difficulties with adding in the offseason. There are difficulties with free agency that make a trade more appealing. But you can't solve the offensive problem with a trade. You can help it. I would love to see them be aggressive. I will stand by that. How do you fix Julio with a trade?
You don't. But off season is easy, Stacy.
I know.
Throw the bag.
I know.
Throw that man the bag. He will come up here and hit in this Marine layer and take the money to the bank.
I call myself a confident backseat driver. Mom, brakes, please.
Gotcha.
but I'm less confident in the economy.
Same here, buddy.
Thankfully, Les Schwab Tires helps make sure that our safety never takes a backseat, even when we're watching our wallets.
Roll into summer. Save up to $200 instantly on a wide selection of tires and wheels. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Details at leschwab.com/sale.
For generations, Shane Company has had a passion for gemstones. We've worked with the same diamond sources who reserve the best rough stones just for us. Once cut and polished, we take our time to handpick the best of the best. We're known for our rainbow of colors, 16 different shades of natural sapphires. At Shane Company, we truly obsess over cutting each stone to reveal its richest color and vibrancy. And we'll continue to source the most beautiful gemstones on earth so that you can always shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Oh, it is the time of the season for pests. That's right. No one likes them. No one knows where they come from, but we can all agree no one wants them in their house. Mike Salk here for Crawl Pros, and they have a full-service pest control division now called Pest Pros. They can come to your house and do a full corner-to-corner inspection, take care of any problems, just like they did at my home. This is the time of the year you'll start seeing more ants in and around your home. You may also begin hearing a little buzzing outdoors. Bees, wasps, hornets. If they make a nest on your property, that is a huge nuisance. So please don't try to take care of those nests on your own. Simply call Pest Pros to have any nest removed and destroyed professionally before the problem grows or you and your guest ends up getting stung. Pest Pros is the full-service pest control division of Crawl Pros with eco-friendly treatments to keep ants, stinging insects, and all sorts of critters from making their way into your home. If you're worried about rodents, ants, or other bugs or an issue in and around your home, call Pest Pros or visit gopestpros.com to schedule a free inspection at gopestpros.com.
Do you know a woman who gives her all to the sports community, encourages diversity, and empowers those around her? Shannon Dreyer here. Seattle Sports is once again partnering with the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events. We want to recognize a woman in our community, and we need your help in finding her. Nominations for the 3rd Annual Women of Inspiration Award are open until July 12th. The winner will receive a donation to the cause of their choice. Nominate an inspiring woman at woiseattle.org.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients in our community. Join us at Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle for an afternoon of hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th at nwhopeandhealing.org. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No. We tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's important to know you have several options for treatment. I'm here with Dr. Meyer, medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, to talk about one of the best and technologically advanced treatment options, CyberKnife. Dr. Meyer, why is CyberKnife one of the best procedures to treat prostate cancer?
Well, treatment for prostate cancer can affect men's quality of life. It can affect their romantic life. It can affect their urine and bowel function. And the CyberKnife does the best job of preserving that function while having excellent cancer control rates.
What do your patients think of the CyberKnife treatment experience?
Well, at the Swedish CyberKnife, our patients are really satisfied with the experience. They report very few side effects, and we are seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later.
To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Hey, Brock Heward here, and I have had my share of sports injuries, and I know a little bit about pain. Well, that's what football will do to you from head to toe. But you don't have to play professional sports to know what I'm talking about. Painful joints from arthritis can affect anyone and make it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that's where my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine comes into play. He has seen so many patients through the years suffering from chronic joint pain caused by arthritis. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Don't let pain stop you from enjoying life. Consider Dr. Nelson the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. That's right, your own stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to harness your own body's healing potential. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. ESPN analyst Bill Barnwell joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. And Bill, we did bring you on to talk about the NFL. You have a ton of insight, obviously. And while we do want to eventually have a conversation about the Seahawks, we're going to start with a conversation that you're having about Dak Prescott. This is already fascinating, even as a Seahawks fan, to see what the Cowboys might do here. What kind of conundrum do they find themselves in?
It's a real financial conundrum and a product of Jerry Jones maybe being a little too patient to get these contracts done. The market for these guys only goes up typically, and he's in a position now where he has 3 stars, and Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, all of whom are coming eligible for an extension, with Dak and Lamb being free agents after this year, Parsons the year after that. They made about $48 million on their last deals, their current contracts. They're going to go up to about $130 million combined if the Cowboys go and sign all 3 of those players to extensions. So you're looking at, an $80, $82, $85 million difference, and that's going to hurt you elsewhere on the roster. So there's a real question in Dallas now maybe about whether they can win paying 3 players, 3 good players, but 3 players, nearly half of the salary cap. It's just a real conundrum for whether you can build a roster and win that way.
So, Bill, we just saw Trevor Lawrence reset the quarterback market, or at least go to the top of the quarterback market. Dak Prescott wanting a new contract. Do you expect him to get a payday that surpasses Lawrence on his next deal?
I do. The only reason it wouldn't happen would be if Dak Prescott gave the Cowboys a discount, which, I don't know why he would. He might. I think stranger things have happened, but from Dak's perspective, he has a lot more leverage than Trevor Lawrence because of where he is relative to free agency. But Trevor Lawrence, obviously, he was a young player in the 4th year of his career, still 4 years of team control, really, with a year of rookie deal, a 5th-year option, and then 2 franchise tags away from free agency. That's going to influence how that deal gets done. Dak Prescott, if the Cowboys don't sign him, he has a no-tag clause. He will be a free agent next March. And so because of that, he has so much leverage. He has more leverage than any other player in football when it comes to getting a deal done because realistically, there's not been many examples of a team losing a quarterback as talented as Dak Prescott for nothing in free agency. Maybe Washington comes to mind with Kirk Cousins, and you've seen what happened since then. They've been wandering through the desert, desperate for a quarterback. Hopefully they have Jaden Daniels be that guy, but they've gone from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback, and you have to figure, they probably look back and say, hey, we probably just should have given Kirk Cousins what he wanted.
Now we are back to where we started because a few days ago, Bill, you mentioned that you were writing about this entire situation in Dallas and the possibility that Dak does become a free agent. And you said the Seahawks, among other teams, seem like obvious landing spots for Dak if the Seahawks quarterback situation does disappoint this year. The Seahawks themselves in a very different quarterback situation than Dallas, obviously, but nonetheless interesting. How do you see it?
Yeah, and obviously it depends on what happens with Geno Smith this year. I figure Geno Smith is, the prohibitive favorite to win the job, keep the job all year. Somehow will maybe get an opportunity, but a player who, I think probably profiles more as a backup than as a pro at the NFL level. But I really like Geno Smith. I think he is an underrated quarterback. He is super accurate. I believe that he has proven himself over the last 2 seasons to be a very viable NFL starting quarterback. But if you're not getting sort of that premium of having a quarterback on a rookie deal, which Geno is not, I sort of wonder, are you better off paying $35 million a year for Geno, $40 million a year for Geno, or do you want to pay a little more and get a quarterback who does have better numbers, who was second in the MVP balloting last year? It would be atypical for the Seahawks, I think it's fair to say, but when it comes to quarterbacks, teams don't always behave by the rules we would expect. And with the Seahawks, obviously this is a team that signed Matt Flynn and then gave Russell Wilson the job before Matt Flynn ever even got an opportunity. They traded Russell Wilson and obviously look back and are very happy they did so. I believe that, yes, the Seahawks are not a team that I would expect to spend $60 million on a quarterback, but with quarterback, the rules are different than they are for any other position.
Bill, the question with Dak Prescott has always been kind of like, can he win the big game? Can he, cut down on the interceptions? Is it maybe going to come down to maybe him needing a change of scenery? Do you think he can win at the highest level in Dallas? I mean, there's no question about the talent around him, but does it feel like he has the support maybe from the front office there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do. I'm not one who puts a ton of stock into those can they win at the highest level thing, because it seems like a moving the goalpost situation, right? You say, okay, well, Dak has to win the division title. Well, he won the division title. Okay, he has to win a playoff game. He's won a playoff game. He has to beat a real quarterback in a playoff game. He blew out Tom Brady in the postseason a couple of years ago in Tampa Bay. One of the best performances we saw all year for any quarterback from Dak Prescott in that game. I look back at guys like Peyton Manning, where early in his career there was that rep of he can't win the big one, he can't beat Tom Brady, until he did, and then he won a Super Bowl. John Elway, lost a couple of Super Bowls early in his career, had that rep for a long time, and then won later on in his career. To me, it's not a question of there being something wrong with Dak Prescott or something wrong with the Cowboys. It's just you only get so many shots. They aren't really a great matchup for some more physical teams like the Niners and the Packers. And to me, if you're Dak, and you're sitting here over the past couple of years and you thought, hey, maybe I don't have what I need around me. Maybe there's not a great enough team around me. Well, those guys making $48 million a year, like I said, are the Cowboys really going to be a better team if those guys are making 3 times as much as they're making now? So it's sort of a conundrum where if you're Dak Prescott, you want to get paid and you deserve to get paid. And I think he's a good enough player to get paid and win a Super Bowl. But whether he can do that with the Cowboys, whether he needs to go somewhere else to do that, I think it's a fair and valid question.
Hey, I'm glad that you mentioned that kind of moving of the goalpost when it comes to quarterbacks and whether a guy can ever be great. Because sometimes it feels like 2 guys, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, have met expectation or been good enough for people. And I mean, you can throw in, no one's arguing Peyton Manning is or was great, right? Or Aaron Rodgers, even though Aaron Rodgers only has 1 Super Bowl to his name. But a lot of the conversation, Bill, just so that you know, that we've been having in Seattle for 2 years with fans, and completely fair, is, can Geno do it? Is Geno enough to elevate you to a Super Bowl team? And you look at the most important position in football and wonder that. That's exactly why we have these conversations about quarterbacks. But, Bill, I look back at Super Bowl winners. I see Patrick Mahomes, Stafford, Brady, Mahomes, Brady, Foles, Brady, Manning, Brady. You got some random guys in there. Joe Flacco in 2012. Obviously, Drew Brees getting a great quarterback. But it feels like there's the reality that a quarterback is hugely important and the most important piece to making you a Super Bowl team. And then the secondary truth, which is even then, only a handful of guys have gotten it done. Is that to you one of the toughest parts about evaluating whether a quarterback can be it for a team?
It is, because it's not a binary thing. And I think too often we talk about it with players as a binary thing. You can have a totally fulfilling career and be a great, truly great quarterback and not win a Super Bowl or not win multiple Super Bowls. And the opposite's true too. You can be okay, pretty good quarterback and get hot like Joe Flacco did for a year and win a Super Bowl. Or you can have some breaks go your way like Eli Manning did in 2007, where I think they recovered like 11 of 12 fumbles on offensive defense in that postseason. And then you get the crazy helmet catch, and that helped win the game. And then Eli comes back 4 years later, and maybe there's a little bit of an easier slate when they get past the Packers. I mean, I could sit here and, kind of poke holes in some of these resumes for guys who won once or twice, but the reality is it's not like Eli Manning became a great quarterback because he won a Super Bowl. Eli Manning developed into a fine quarterback. I think if Eli Manning had not won 2 Super Bowls, I don't think we'd be sitting here saying, man, Eli Manning is a no doubt Hall of Famer based on his resume beyond the playoff wins. So to me, I think, it just changes how you have to approach your roster, right? If you have a Patrick Mahomes, well, you can afford to make more mistakes. You can have a wide receiver core that has the worst drop rate in the modern history of football in a single season, like the Chiefs did last year. If you have a Josh Allen, you can afford to make some mistakes. If you have a guy like that, yes, it changes what you have to do, but it's just harder with the Geno Smith. It's harder with an Eli Manning. It's harder with the Joe Flacco. You can still do it. And I don't think we should take away from those players because those teams did it. It just changes. Well, maybe you're spending more on your defense. Maybe you're spending more on your offensive line. Maybe you're not doing as much, not relying as much on your passing game. And I think for the Seahawks, as they sort of evolve in the post-Pete era, I think they have to ask themselves, hey, what kind of team do we want to be? Where are we spending our money? What are we focusing on? How are we evolving in any way? Or are we just going to be kind of, with John Schneider still there, kind of, maybe a slightly different version of what we had previously? And I think that's going to be a really fascinating year here in 2024 because I think we're going to get a vision of what John Schneider's team looks like, not just this year, but also now in the years to come as well.
Bill, the Seahawks have an interesting conundrum coming up with DK Metcalf, who will be eligible for an extension here soon. I noticed that you tweeted, I think a couple weeks ago when Justin Jefferson signed his deal with the Vikings, that he'll be making in one season what Marvin Harrison Jr. will be making for the duration of his rookie deal. So with you having said that, how do you feel about the Seahawks giving another contract extension to DK Metcalf?
I mean, he's a special player. And when it comes to wide receivers, I believe you have to be thoughtful about not just your player, but also the context around them, right? And for the Vikings, not that they would have ever really not signed Justin Jefferson. Maybe they trade him if they really don't like him for some reason, but they're never going to let him leave in free agency. And it makes sense for them to sign him, not only because he's an incredible player, but also because they have J.J. McCarthy on a rookie deal making a fraction of what a typical quarterback makes. And you want to surround your quarterback with talent when that happens. With someone like CeeDee Lamb, it's tougher. So with the Cowboys, do you pay Dak 60 and then CeeDee Lamb 35? That's a more difficult conundrum. I think if you have a rookie quarterback, it's much easier to pay those wide receivers. And so when it comes to DK Metcalf, you can't really knock their production. He's been healthy. He's been available most of his career. He's played really well. He seems like a locker room guy. He doesn't seem like there's any issues there. So you can't really poke holes in DK as a player. I just really think the question is, how do you want to apportion your money, and what do they have a quarterback? If you have a rookie quarterback taking over next year, or someone who's not making even what Geno's going to make this year, I don't think there's really a doubt. I think you surround that guy with talent. You sign DK, you heard that Jackson Smith-Njigba is your number 2 receiver, and he ends up being eligible for an extension a couple of years from now and deserves one. They spent money on Noah Fant this offseason. I think you surround that quarterback with as much as possible. But if you do go out and give Geno Smith a raise, if you do go out and sign Dak or someone significant at quarterback, if you trade for a Kirk Cousins, that's a different question. I think it's tougher to get that deal done with DK. I still think you do it, but it really changes the sort of flexibility you have and maybe how aggressive you are in making that move versus having a more expensive or less expensive quarterback.
He is Bill Barnwell. Bill, we wish we could ask you a million questions. You are an encyclopedia of knowledge. So fun to talk to. We have to let you go, though. However, I will tell everyone else that if you love what you hear from Bill, unsurprisingly you will, check out the Bill Barnwell Show. Read his latest. This column we talked about Dak is up on ESPN.com right now. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Let's get to 4 Down Territory.
This is 4 Down Territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Stacy, first down to you. just spoke with Bill Barnwell. So what stood out from our conversation with him when it comes to Dak Prescott?
That idea of moving the goalpost, I don't know why, but Bill's right. I see it all the time too. Dak Prescott constantly gets critiqued for having not done X, Y, and Z, right? How he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Well, he's a choke artist. Well, and then fill in the blank, it's going to be something else. And look, this guy, Bump mentioned it, has thrown some untimely and ugly interceptions at times. He had a career high in interceptions last year before drastically cleaning that up in 2023. So there are flaws in his game that can be very costly for a team. He also is like maybe one of the best quarterbacks that Dallas has had and doesn't get nearly enough credit for it. He's got a lot of great pieces around him, but so did Aikman. So did a lot of these other guys that have been with this team. He's, been better overall than Tony Romo, who got plenty of hate during his time, but is now very beloved, obviously, having been a more likable figure in the broadcast booth. I agree with Bill that it's a constant moving of the goalpost with Dak. I think that is a byproduct of being with the Cowboys more than it is anything else. I know that sometimes with sports, we tend to, say, well, he's got to do this, he's got to do this. I think that you could look at Jared Goff, and even though he was a first overall pick and the Rams gave him a ton of money, if he were to retire tomorrow, people would be like, good for him.
He had a great career.
You know what I mean? He did more than I thought he would. He helped take the Detroit Lions to the NFC Championship game for the first time in 30 years after everyone kind of gave up on him and didn't give him credit for the Rams Super Bowl appearance, saying, oh, it's just Sean McVay's brain. It's not Jared's arm. And now I think he kind of gets credit. So it doesn't happen with every quarterback, but it does with Dak. I think it's being a product of the Cowboys.
I like that point, too, because if you think about it, Dak Prescott, one of the greatest draft steals of all time.
Fourth round pick.
Has turned himself into the franchise quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Has 3 4,000-yard seasons, has 3 seasons of over 30 touchdown passes. Like, to get that kind of value out of a 4th-round pick, that's one of the greatest draft selections of all time.
And when you are a team like the Cowboys that has had a ton of talent, that has had a ton of focus on getting to a Super Bowl, and you haven't been able to win in the playoffs for the better part of, 30 years or whatever, it's not just a quarterback thing. I don't remember Dak being part of those early 2000s teams.
Second down. Stacey, who gets crowned Captain Obvious today?
Through no fault of his own. I've done it too. The award goes to Kyler Murray. But what are you supposed to say when someone says, tell me about Marvin Harrison Jr.? You can't offer something that's like no one's seen before. So Kyler has no choice but to say he's great. This was his quote with reporters. When you got a guy, this being Marvin Harrison Jr. out there, that's capable of winning one-on-ones, obviously he's got to go do it. He knows that. We all know it. But as far as manipulating coverage and stuff like that, you got a guy out there that can do it. Even if he's not open, he's open. I'm excited to be able to build with him. I fully expect our offense to be top of the league. Now, that is great. That's fantastic. Him saying our offense is going to be next level with Marvin Harrison Jr. is a big duh moment.
Probably.
But also, credit to Kyler, probably true. Now, we will see. It's easier said than done to take advantage of a rookie, but we've seen rookie wide receivers, Jamar Chase, hit the ground running with their respective teams. Kyler Murray is really talented, and the Cardinals quietly kind of got back into the groove of things later in the season. I'm very curious to see what they look like. So fascinated to see Marvin Harrison Jr. I think because he went to the Cardinals, there's not as much of a spotlight, but there should be.
Yeah, you look at all the great receivers that have come from college over the last decade. I think Harrison's got to have probably the highest ceiling of them. I mean, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Yeah. I mean,
Jamar Chase was like a top 5 pick, wasn't he?
Well, and Jamar Chase got a lot of credit because of his system too,
right?
And his team, and it's Marvin Harrison Jr. is with Ohio State. It's not like you can't give him that, but I don't know how many people are looking at his quarterback situation going, best ever. This is amazing.
Third down. Stacey, I want from you a second-year player on the Seahawks. Not named Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I'm just kidding.
Who you're going to be watching closely this season.
So Jackson Smith and Jigba would be my number one choice, obviously, but this is intentionally framed to focus on someone else. So instead, I'm looking at a second rounder, Zach Charbonnet. Only one team in the league had fewer rushing attempts per game than the Seahawks in 2023, and it was the Commanders, a team that was criticized for having Sam Howell throw the ball way too much. The Seahawks are a team that if you were to ask any national reporter, tell me about the Seahawks offense, they'd be like, oh, run first, really want to establish the run. That hasn't really been true for a long time, but it especially wasn't true last year. And why not get Zach Charbonnet involved even more, especially with the pass game? He excelled there at UCLA, but he averaged just 2 catches per game with Seattle. A banged-up offensive line was a huge part of not just Zach, but Ken's lack of involvement this season. Ken still finished with fine numbers, but he needed a couple big games for that. It's just so funny to think of this offense as being one that so focuses on the run, and now we're not even talking about it. I can't think of a single time we've had a segment about Ken and Zach and getting this run game going. That's in large part because we're talking a lot about DK. We did earlier today. And we've talked about Ryan Grubb, who is known for a high-flying offense with Washington, but don't overlook the very real possibility, the very real likelihood that Ryan Grubb works really hard to take advantage of 2 second-round running backs, Zach Charbonnet being one of them. So I'm so excited to see what he can do. I hope that he is involved as a pass catcher more.
4th down. All right, Stacey, it's the offseason. So how about the most classic NFL offseason topic there is? NFL Throwback, which is ran by the NFL, their YouTube channel.
Okay.
Released their Mount Rushmores for all 32 teams. Seattle's is Walter Jones, Bobby Wagner, Steve Largent, and Russell Wilson. What do you make of those 4?
I like it. I'm gonna say something that is not gonna make me a lot of friends, but I'm gonna say it. There are, as a result of the Seahawks having won a Super Bowl with the Legion of Boom with Marshawn Lynch, a lot of fan favoritism of those guys without recognizing that if you are going just by importance to an organization, by accomplishments, by Bobby Wagner being a first ballot Hall of Famer and Russell Wilson being the winningest quarterback the franchise has had, why would it not be the 2 of them? Yeah. I know that people, what about Marshawn? What about Marshawn? What about Marshawn?
He was great.
He was fantastic. He was absolutely amazing. I loved watching Marshawn Lynch. Is he the best running back in franchise history?
And didn't have the longevity of his Seahawks career that these 4 had.
Russell Wilson played here for a decade. This isn't me standing on a mountaintop saying Russell Wilson is the best Seahawk ever. This is me saying Russell Wilson was a quarterback, which already catapults him to a level of importance that's different. He's the winningest quarterback you've had. He won your only Super Bowl. He holds almost every passing records, and most of the ones that he doesn't hold are held by Hasselbeck, who didn't win a Super Bowl, or by Geno, who won those like in his comeback player of the year season in 2022. I'm not mad at this whatsoever. Whatsoever. I think that there are people, what about Richard Sherman? What about whatever? Great players, phenomenal players. Why would it not be the winningest quarterback?
I think the only past Seahawk that you could make a legit case for would be Cortez Kennedy.
Yes. That would be my lone exception.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Maybe the best defensive tackle of his time.
Yep.
But Walter Jones, you look at his numbers, probably the best left tackle of his era. Bobby Wagner, the best middle linebacker of his era. Steve Largent, the best wide receiver of his era. Largent retired as the all-time leading receiver in NFL history. People forget that because it was so long ago. But yeah, you can't argue those 3. And Russ just, the duration of his career, how much winning he did, the numbers that he put up, you're making something out of nothing if you think Russell Wilson should not be on that.
I know. I love the Cortez Kennedy. I would not be mad in any way. If you were to tell me one that involved Cortez, I'd go, yep. And then I'd say my only other option would be Russell Wilson because of the importance of his position and of what he did and of the duration in which he played. But I think that sometimes, again, it's the same reason that every single time there's like minimum 2 good defensive backs on the team, people go Legion of Boom 2.0. Like there was just a pure great era of Seahawks football when this team was dominant. They'd won in ways we'd never seen before and had a dominance we'd never seen before. They were the talk of the town. It was amazing. You had big personalities. I am so grateful to have witnessed it. It was awesome. But I think, A, we just collectively can't let it go sometimes. Yeah. And B, we forget every other era of player. Like Cortez Kennedy would belong on this long before Richard Sherman. No disrespect to Richard Sherman, no disrespect to any other defensive player from the best defense we've seen. Cortez Kennedy would be it. So, yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Easy. Someone said Jimmy Graham. You know what? Take Walter Jones out.
Someone said Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens.
Yes.
There we go.
I want to see a Hall of Fame from just the most accomplished player to ever be with a team so that we could get to like the Titans and completely forget that so-and-so was
I saw somebody tweet out that Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Adrian Peterson, Edgerrin James, and Franco Harris all ended their careers with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Those are all 5 are in Canton, Ohio. So
someone said I might toss Cam on there just because of likability. And what? I think Cam is incredibly likable.
Yes. But he's not even the best safety in Seahawks franchise history.
You got to talk about who deserves
got one
to be
in the
here.
Hall of Fame. And
someone said kind of weird to not have Sean Alexander, who won MVP here. I would look at it for the same reason as I would with Marshawn. Sean does hold those running back records, but it's the duration of time, overall impact. And frankly, there's no running back that's had a more outsized impact than Steve Largent.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's just, if you only got 4 guys, it's going to go to Largent over any running back.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the best roof you'll ever need.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel, not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise on the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. And get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long, because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details. While supplies last.
After his accident, our daughter-in-law arranged for us to meet with 3 different law firms, and the Davis Law Group was the clear choice.
Throughout the entire process, I've been pretty neutral in terms of my emotions. When I found out that the Supreme Court had ruled in our favor, I just remember that I was exhilarated. It was very elating. Chris did a great job in bringing it to closure.
We always felt that they were going above and beyond.
Your home is your most valuable asset. If you are sick, you go to a doctor. And when something is wrong with your home, you call an expert. Did you know over time, sidewalks and driveways can sink and crack, causing trip hazards or worse? Matt Vey Foundation Repair is the industry leader in concrete repairs. Their foam injection process corrects concrete problems in a matter of minutes. And their Pentec concrete floor coatings will add durability and style to most concrete surfaces. Call now for a free estimate. Also ask about payment options and financing. Matt Vey Foundation Repair. GoMattVey.com. Rock built, rock solid.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
You're listening to Bumpin' Stacy
on Seattle's Sports Station.
Here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Rost.
Lots to talk about when it comes to the Seahawks. We don't care that they're on a break. We got a lot of questions about this team and about the NFL. So who better to join us than Pro Football Focus lead analyst Sam Monson on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Sam, how's it going?
Going well. How about you guys?
Fantastic. Obviously, it's beautiful outside. All of these players are on their mini version of a summer break, but we have a lot of questions about this team. I'm going to start with something Leslie Frazier talked about. He was on Move the Sticks and had a lot to say about building this team, and he talked about building a defense from the front back. That's not like new analysis or news or a new concept to many people. I think a lot of people agree with that. But, Sam, it feels like that's not typically how Seattle's defense has been built, right?
No, probably not. Certainly the thing that we all remember, the Legion of Boom defenses for was that secondary and how amazing it was. Now, we maybe sort of mischaracterized that or maybe just put too much emphasis on it. They had some really good defensive lines with those really good defenses as well. I don't think that secondary would have been as good or as remembered as it is unless there had been some guys up front that were able to do some real damage as well. So I think maybe we sort of put too much focus on the secondary from those great Seahawks defenses of the past, but definitely that's where the star power was. And I think this defense is probably going to be focusing the other way. It's probably going to try and load up on those trenches and rely on benefiting the guy at the back end.
Well, and what a perfect transition, because Sam, today your defensive line rankings dropped on Pro Football Focus. So you have the Seahawks at 17. Do you have their defensive line trending up, trending down? How do you see them faring here in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very good chance that this defensive line is going to look better this year than even in those rankings, than they're being given credit for, because of the system that's being brought in, which, the last few years, the sort of in vogue defense has been that Vic Fangio defensive scheme. I think the one that's coming in now is going to be the next couple of years. And the Seahawks are going to be right on the cutting edge with essentially the primary architect of that defensive scheme as their head coach. So I think this defensive line, number one, it's going to get the most out of some of the players on that unit. And number two, it's just going to enhance, I think, the play of everybody along that defensive front because of the way they coach defense, because of the way they essentially allow everybody to just play quickly and sort of meld the pressure looks with the formation and just let everybody go out there and play football without having to think about it.
Looking around the NFC West, your defensive line rankings, you had the 49ers at number 2, and just maybe kind of looking at the 49ers as a whole, how much longer do you think their title window will be open for, especially because you've got Brock Purdy's looming payday, you've got sort of the situation going on with Brandon Ayuk and whether they keep him, whether they keep Deebo Samuel. How much longer do you think the 49ers are on top of the NFC West?
I think they're probably still there for a couple of years. And in particular, Brock Purdy continues playing at the kind of level he was playing at last season. And, there's a debate as to how much of it is him and how much of it is, the system, how much of it is Shanahan, how much of it is the weaponry around him. To an extent, it doesn't really matter as long as he can keep it up. It doesn't really matter whether he's a big piece of that puzzle or a smaller piece. As long as the puzzle, the whole remains intact, they're going to be phenomenal. So it only becomes a problem once he signs a big money contract, and then that starts to have an effect on guys like Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and suddenly they have to start shipping off a couple of those players, and that's when it does matter if he's not a huge piece of that overall puzzle. But I think that's a few years away. I think they can probably keep Brandon Ayuk if they want to do that. And if they didn't, I would imagine they would have traded him away already at this stage. So I imagine they're going to keep that group. Even if they lose one of Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, they've already sort of been drafting for that contingency with Ricky Pearsall coming in to what is already a ridiculously loaded skill position group. So, yeah, I don't think the 49ers are going away anytime soon.
Hey, I wanted to talk a bit about those quarterback situations. You looked at the top 10 quarterback situations in the league. You had Brock Purdy at number 1, and this was mostly about the supporting cast. Of the 6 quarterback situations that ranked in the top 6, only one, C.J. Stroud, was in the AFC. It feels like there is potentially some movement and change in what had been a weakened NFC. Who do you see as a team that, could take that big step forward, either heading to a wild card team or taking a step up from being a wild card team?
I think the Falcons immediately catapulted themselves into the playoffs just by signing Kirk Cousins. This was not a bad team a year ago, and they had one of the worst quarterback situations in the NFL. The offseason for them, obviously all the focus has been about the Michael Penix Jr. pick at the top of the draft, but simply signing Cousins makes that a playoff team. They also probably upgraded the coaching group as well. When you look at the new Raheem Morris at head coach, Zach Robinson coming in as offensive coordinator from that Rams, Sean McVay coaching tree, you would expect that to be a very good offense and a very good coaching unit with Kirk Cousins. So I think the Falcons could easily jump, and you would imagine they would win that division and could easily make some noise in the playoffs as well.
Hey, Sam, a couple weeks ago you wrote about Justin Jefferson's new contract with the Vikings, and the headline says his new deal is another sign that receivers are the most valuable non-quarterbacks. So I guess with that having been said, where do you fall on the Seahawks potentially extending DK Metcalf after this season? Is he somebody that they need to keep around in order to build out this roster, or is it maybe getting to a point where DK could be making maybe too much money for the Seahawks' liking?
DK Metcalf is in that interesting bracket of receivers where he's not, a truly elite superstar, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, but he is very, very good. And we're at that kind of group where those guys are getting paid a lot of money, but often teams get a couple of years into that deal and they start to maybe regret the money that they've committed to him or start wondering whether they're still worth it. He's in the sort of Amari Cooper bracket, and Amari Cooper's entire career seems to have just been one cycle after another of that exact dynamic. He gets paid the contract, or he makes the team better. He gets paid his big contract, and then a couple of years into it, a team starts looking at that cap number and going, is he really worth that? They trade him to someone else, and we start the whole cycle over again. So I think DK Metcalf is in that same sort of bucket where I would look to keep him around. I think he's a devastating playmaker. He can make explosive plays. He makes a big impact on that offense. And maybe it's a couple of years into that contract when the Seahawks start wondering if, he's really worth the money they're paying him. But I think certainly he should get extended this time.
Hey, sticking with the topic of wide receivers and heading back just a bit to talking about the 49ers and the NFC West, if we're looking at a Ayuk-less 49ers team, what does it mean for the 49ers, for the West, and maybe for the Seahawks? Is it that much of a difference on a team with so many weapons?
He's their best wide receiver, and he's an incredible playmaker in his own right, but they have so much depth and so much variety in that group that I think they can just pivot the offense and live without him and be fine. It's sort of like, in any given season, George Kittle could be the best tight end in the NFL, put up monster numbers, lead the league in receiving from tight end, but it's difficult for them to give him that kind of workload because the ball goes to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, and it's hard for Kittle to get the kind of workload that, say, somebody like Travis Kelce does. And I think that's true for most of the guys in that offense. Like Christian McCaffrey in any given season could have an offensive player of the year type of year. Deebo Samuel could put up monster numbers. Brandon Ayuk, if they wanted to give him the kind of workload that guys like Justin Jefferson could put up those kinds of numbers. But it's difficult to get them all to eat at the same time. And inevitably, some of them are just going to have a little bit less of an opportunity than others. But I think that means that if you lose one of them, you can just rearrange the workload a little bit. And the other guys are just going to pick up a bit more of the slack each, and everything's still going to be fine. So I think they would like to keep him around, but if they did trade him away, I don't think that offense would suffer that much.
Sam, one of the big stories in the NFL everybody's watching this season is how will the Cowboys prioritize Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott, all of them up for new deals soon. How would you sort of rank them in order of importance of keeping around?
The tough thing is you want to keep all three of those guys. I mean, in today's NFL, you have 4 or 5 huge contracts that you can hand out, and then you have to start making financial decisions. But the 4 or 5 players would include those 3. They would include your quarterback, your top receiver, and your best defensive player. And those are the guys that they all have coming up for those contracts. So, obviously Dak Prescott is a difficult one to get done because it's going to be the biggest number and the most onerous in terms of that salary cap, particularly because it's the second big deal for him. He's already had one big extension that itself was stretching that salary cap. So Dak, I think, is the most difficult one to get done. But once they get that sorted, I think they can make the other deals sort of hang around that on the salary cap once they understand what they're dealing with. But honestly, they don't want to let any one of those guys leave.
I think that there are fans that look at that situation and go, well, why not let Dak leave? He doesn't come up in clutch moments. And Sam, as you're well familiar with, there's just that narrative that the Cowboys can't get it done and your quarterback must be responsible for it. Curtis and I have been debating this for several days, as the topic has really come to the forefront and then lately involved Seattle and what they do at quarterback. And I just find it fascinating, Sam, trying to decide what the issue has been in Dallas. Do you think Dak gets an undue amount of blame, or do you look at him and think that there are areas where I can see where that fell apart?
No, I think it's a reasonable criticism and complaint, but it isn't unique to him. It's the entire Cowboys right now. I think everybody knows in Dallas, once you get to the postseason, that's when things start, and they're playing against this couple of decades worth of pressure and, his history, and knowing that it always falls apart. And the last couple of seasons in particular, it's really felt like that when they get to the postseason. Everybody just tightens up and, for want of a better word, chokes. And Dak Prescott's absolutely part of that. But I don't know that another quarterback wouldn't be either. It's an institutional problem. It's not something I think that you fix just by changing quarterback and getting rid of Dak Prescott and trying to find another guy. And, this offseason is a good example of the problem. Yes, it's going to cost you a ton to keep Dak Prescott around. But let's say they'd done it this season. They moved on from him this offseason. What were the alternatives? You would have had to pay Kirk Cousins a ton of money as an alternative in free agency, or you would have been picking, QB 6 or 7 in the draft if you had the opportunity. So it's not easy to move on from a guy that's as good as Dak Prescott, even if he has come up short in the biggest moments for them.
He is Pro Football Focus lead analyst Sam Monson. Make sure you're reading his work, pff.com. Thanks so much, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Anytime, guys. Take it easy.
Welcome to IRG Sports Injury Update. We're with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy, and our guest, Dr. Andrew Gomez, sports medicine physician at Providence in Everett.
Dr. Gomez, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty well. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Tell us about AC joint separations in the shoulder.
So the AC joint, it's the small joint at the top of the shoulder. It's where the clavicle or the collarbone meets a bony prominence of the scapula called the acromion, and it's got a number of ligaments that stabilize it. And in terms of the separations, there's a number of different flavors of it. There's grades 1 through 6, and typically what's most common is a grade 1, 2, and 3. Grades 1s and 2s are typically managed conservatively. Grade 3, it's controversial. Some of them go to the orthopedic surgeon. Some of them can be managed conservatively. Grades higher than that, 4, 5, and 6, it's really characterized by the displacement of the clavicle in terms of the displaced posteriorly. Is it displaced inferiorly, or does it go up? And essentially, it's a sprain. It's a ligamentous injury, and most of them, like I said earlier, grades 1s and 2s, always managed conservatively. Typically, we'll put an athlete or a patient in a sling for 3 to 5 days, typically for comfort. And after that, it's early range of motion. And typically, we can see athletes get full range of motion within about 6 weeks and complete function of the shoulder by about 12 weeks post-injury.
Perfect. So typically it's a conservative treatment. It's biology. It takes time, but usually about somewhere between, you're talking 8 to 10, 12 weeks, players return to function.
Correct. Absolutely.
Excellent. If you want more information on sports injuries, you can contact Dr. Gomez at providence.org. That's providence.org.
With over 40 neighborhood clinics around Washington, IRG has you covered. Let IRG be your family's physical therapist. Find the location nearest you at irgpt.com. That's irgpt.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY, and I want to talk to you about the importance of when you hire a lawyer. Some people delay, and that's a mistake. Here's why. When you go before the judge at your first appearance, bail is usually set.
Order in the court.
It may be the only chance you have to address that bail. You're going to want aggressive counsel, arguing for the lowest amount possible, or release with no bail at all. You want someone who knows you, a private lawyer who's going to fight. 1-800-DUI-AWAY. If your bail is set too high, you may be stuck in jail, or you may have to pay an expensive bail bondsman. When you're out, you need a trustworthy lawyer that can help put this whole ordeal behind you. Call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com to schedule your free consultation for any criminal offense. You wouldn't go into surgery without a doctor. Scalpel. So don't go without 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
1-800-DUI-AWAY!
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit PAR.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from. And you can compare them side by side right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown, and a custom engraving. or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jeweler's workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe. You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
All Mariners from 1 to 2, so we're sticking with it. Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Does Matt Nelson yell at you guys like he yells at me? Doesn't happen.
I don't want to say he yells at us. I would say he doesn't return friendliness with friendliness. You know what I mean? That's probably the best I could describe.
That's fair.
That is great. And the funny thing is that there's no comp for that. We literally know no one else in our lives similar to that whatsoever.
It's true. This is how a morning exchange goes. Hey, Matt. Morning.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best reflection of how those conversations are. Aaron, we just heard Jerry DiPoto on Sirius Radio, and he was talking about how the trade market's really, really difficult. And I don't think he was like walking back the promise of a trade. They haven't made any promises, but it did seem like he was priming Mariners fans for what will be kind of a tough trade deadline. Do you look at the market and see kind of the same difficulties and obstacles?
I think that the thing about not only the trade deadline, but just any trade in general, is that it's almost impossible from an outsider's view, which, to be clear, is everyone other than the two teams talking, right, to know exactly what is going on. And by that, I mean, like, I know on authority in years past, there have been trades on the table between the Mariners and you name the other team for various players. And the Mariners felt like they were offering better players or prospects in return than other competing teams for that trade. And the team with all the cards to deal went with another team, right? They saw that player that the other team B was giving them in return better as the team that the Mariners were giving them in return. It's in the eye of the beholder. So there's so many elements to it that make it incredibly challenging, even in a good trade market. It's still an upward climb that I don't think we can all really fully wrap our minds around. So we know this, between the man who has the red button at his disposal, Jerry DiPoto, and the prospects that the Mariners farm system have, if there are trades to be made that they feel are right, it can be done. But it comes down to what are all the ingredients in the recipe, and are you willing to pay that price?
Before I ask you a question, Goldie, I want to make a statement, man. I don't know what game you did. I think you're on Fox or FS1. The suit, my man, was on point. The hair was on point. I said, look at my dude out there doing his thing, man. So I just want to give you some love real quick before I ask my question.
You don't need to butter. That means the world. Yeah. Curtis, who's in a hoodie right now, I can't quite understand what
a T-shirt, okay?
He's dressed up today.
All right, now to the question, is there anyone in the farm system that you feel is untouchable? Or do you think there's a sense of urgency in that the Mariners will be willing to do whatever it takes to improve this team?
Okay, I can't speak with great authority on untouchables versus not, but I can tell you like vibes that I have gotten, and you can take that for whatever you think it's worth. I was pretty shocked in the last month when all the prospect ranking systems, Baseball America, so forth and so on, came out with their updated top 100, and Colt Emerson was as high as he was. Both, I think Baseball America and maybe Keith Law had him like squarely inside. I'm going to be generous and say top 20 prospects in baseball, but to one of those two services, I believe, was floating around top 10, if not better than that. Which the reason that surprised me, it's no knock on Colt Emerson. It's simply the fact that he was not a top 5 draft pick, right? Everyone saw him play high school ball and Team USA ball last year. He slipped to the 20s in the draft, and I shouldn't say slipped. That's when he was taken, and there's certainly nothing wrong with him. And then he played part of his season and then has been hurt unfortunately, for a good chunk of this year because he fouled a ball off of his foot. And to see him skyrocket like he did, despite such limited professional at-bats, was a pleasant surprise. And talking with those around the organization primarily to see, are you surprised by this? It was just, not at all. It's one of these guys where Keith Law, I believe, even wrote about this, where there's like a player every year where once he gets into pro ball, you go, man, how was that guy taken where he was, and how did he not land inside the top 10 or whatever it might be? And just the baseball IQ, I think that Colt Emerson has, from the stories that I've been told with some great nuance to them, is pretty off the charts for a guy who had never played above high school ball. And I mean, to be fair, high level Team USA ball before this. So I think that's a guy who the industry, I won't focus on it from a Mariners perspective, but from an industry perspective, is already viewed as an upper tier blue chip prospect. And the Mariners have a lot of obviously top 100 prospects, but it does feel like Colt Emerson has kind of achieved that, whatever that very top tier status is.
Hey, you and Blowers on a broadcast a little while back were talking about the belief that you had initially in the offense compared to what it is now, and there being kind of a gap in performance that I don't know how many people thought the Mariners lineup would be a top 10 offense in baseball, but that you thought it would be better than they have been. And because of that, both of you were saying you kind of had a hard time letting go of this idea that maybe there'd be a hot streak in there somewhere. Do you still look at the offense and think like, I part of me refuses to be not glass half full when I look at the potential?
Absolutely. And there might be some people who think I'm just looking through Mariner colored glasses right now. And I can understand why you might feel that way based on what we've seen through the first half of the season. But let's go back. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine to Peoria, right? And I'm not talking results. I don't look at spring training stats, but when you just look at the personnel on paper, you think, man, this is the best Mariners lineup, the longest Mariners lineup, the deepest Mariners lineup that this organization has had. And, well, I mean, you tell me, for a long, long time. And the question then was what? The question then was, can they stay healthy, right? Because Garver had injury concerns, Polanco had injury concerns, Mitch Haniger had injury concerns. And then you just never know, right? You just never know with everybody else. And for the Mariners to struggle and have guys have just some like real outlier seasons in a bad way so far, whether it be through just overall production or through probably more specifically swing and miss, has been pretty surprising. But the three of us have talked about this for years now. You never know when a team will get hot. And generally, or I should say typically, there are very few indicators that signal, hey, it's coming. Like, it just happens. It just happened to the Twins earlier this year. They were wretched offensively, which I know is unfathomable based on what we just saw at T-Mobile Park, but they were horrific, and they flipped the switch. And the Mariners have a track record of doing that. Does that mean it will happen this year? No, not at all. There's no guarantees. But can it happen? Yes, because we have seen that happen with generally this group of personnel for back-to-back seasons.
Hey, Goldie, sometimes I was just traveling Washington with my kids this past weekend at soccer tournaments like crazy. And there's some teams you go up against, you're like, yeah, this team is better. I just need to see this, that, and that. Let's see some improvement in some areas. I feel like this is the type of series where obviously the Baltimore Orioles are better. You look at their roster, the record, and all that good stuff. But is there something you're saying, all right, well, let's see what happens, but end of the day, these are the things that I need to see from this from the Mariners?
Specifically against Baltimore?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the problem with Baltimore is that they are an absolute offensive juggernaut. Now, the good news is you are facing them at home, where we know the Mariners have done some pretty remarkable things from a pitching standpoint. But this is a team, the Orioles, that in the month of June led the majors in runs, and they hit 60 home runs in the month of June. It was one of the greatest single home run months in baseball history for any team, not just Baltimore. So they have had one of the hottest players in baseball this year in Gunnar Henderson. We all know about Adley Rutschman. Anthony Santander is the guy who's not a household name, but is just kind of always there, especially it seems like when he plays the Mariners. So, I mean, this is a deep, complete lineup, and you will need, there's no question, your pitching to hold them down. It's a tough task, right, for any pitching staff, even one as good as the Mariners. But if that doesn't happen, it's pretty hard to fathom the Mariners taking a series against a team that's been as hot as the Orioles. But fortunately for the Mariners, they are capable of that. It's very similar to the Twins series. It's strength on strength, right? It's the Mariners pitching versus now, in this case, the Orioles lineup. So may the best man win, but it'll be a pretty monumental clash when you think about that pitching staff and that lineup.
If you could kind of ask for one thing from Julio, I know this is like maybe the easiest question you're going to get for the interview, but if we were to isolate Bump's question to just Julio, what would you be watching for in this series?
Pull the ball in the air. You know, like the good things will not happen until Julio pulls the ball in the air. It's that simple and it's that complicated. You know, when you look at really good teams in baseball right now, teams that are in first place or in second place or are well above 500, typically they all have some common things. And one of them is they have one or two stars who play like stars. Like when the Mariners were in Cleveland, who was great for the Guardians? It was Jose Ramirez. It was Josh Naylor. It was Stephen Kwan. Right? When the Mariners played in Kansas City, who was great? It was Bobby Wood Jr. and Salvador Perez and a good accompanying cast to go along with them. I mean, you can just go down the list. I mean, the extreme example is the Yankees with Soto and Judge, and we'll see it firsthand with the Orioles with Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. And it's always asking a lot for a player who has superstar talent to play like a star. But unfortunately, if those guys don't play like that, their teams don't win as many games, right? Their teams aren't necessarily in first place, or if they are, it's not by as comfortable of a lead. So unfortunately, I know we've talked about it probably numerous times, but at a certain point, that's just kind of what it comes down to. Your stars have to play like stars if you want to get to where you want to go, unless you just have pop, right?
Right.
2 to 3 guys who just burst out of nowhere to carry the mail, and that's probably not going to happen over the course of 162 games.
He is Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith, kind enough to join us for the dugout. Before we let you go, Matt, would you like to say goodbye to Aaron? Do you have anything you want to say?
I mean, not really. He's
okay.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, Aaron, thanks so much for joining us. We had a great time talking to you.
See you, Aaron.
You know, nothing makes me happier than hearing Matt blow me off. So have a great day, guys.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Hey, it's Mike Salkir, and look, summer is now officially upon us, so what do you have planned? Oh, it's got to be a lot, right? Vacations, road trips, seeing all that our beautiful area has to offer. You don't want to be limited by how you look or how you feel. You've heard how I went on the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan, right? I lost 35 pounds in just 8 weeks. The results were incredible, and I couldn't be happier with how my life and energy improved. Well, I just want the same thing for you. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is looking for 710 listeners to help this summer. Here's the ask. Schedule a 15-minute, no-obligation consultation at eastsideweightlossklinic.com. It's safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss, no pills, injections, or surgery. You eat real food that you get at the grocery store. You'll lose weight, look, and feel your very best. That feeling can be yours this summer. So what's the secret? Call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic at 425-588-0080 or go to eastsideweightlossklinic.com. That's 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossklinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients, and you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and I had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. And get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long, because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details. While supplies last.
This is Tammy Michaels. 4 years ago, I was rear-ended in a terrible car accident. Little did I know that my biggest fight to cover my medical bills was with my own insurance company. Davis Law Group fought for me when I was unable to fight for myself. They got the results I hoped for. For more of my story, go to dlgstories.com/Tammy. That's dlgstories.com/Tammy.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, it is Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams. Eric, how's it going?
It's going good. How you guys doing?
We're good. Happy to have you. Happy to talk some NFL. I know the league's in its summer break of sorts here for about 6 weeks, so it'll be a while before we see all of these teams retake the field for training camp. But I'll start with a general look at the NFC West. Which team of the 4 are you most intrigued to see hit the field come late July?
I think I'd have to go with the Niners, just with the Brandon Ayuk situation and whether or not he's going to report. Are they going to get a contract done before, the start of training camp, which I think for them is the 23rd. According to reports, they're offering about $26 million annually. Sounds like he wants a little bit closer to $30 million annually. So are they going to be able to bridge the gap? The only way that, he has leverage is to withhold his services. So that would mean, not showing up to training camp. And then, of course, you have to deal with fines and those kind of things. It's a tough situation for the Niners because when you're talking about paying that much for a receiver and he's not really the best player on offense, he's maybe your 3rd or 4th best player. How's that going to go over in the locker room? So I'm interested to see what happens there with San Francisco.
The $30 million annually would make him among the top 5 paid wide receivers in the league. I mean, I don't know how tough you want to be, but do you think he's worth
the best receiver on his team? I mean, is he better than Debo? I mean, those are the kind of things that they're thinking about if they're, as a GM, do you make that move to make him, to pay him that much? I don't know if you saw his podcast appearance on the Pivot. Basically he's saying he's a Lamborghini and you got to pay for a Lamborghini. And again, I don't know if I view him as – I think he's a really talented receiver. I just don't know if I view him as a top 5 receiver in the league.
Yeah, Eric, that's my struggle with the Brandon Ayuk Debo situation, is because when it comes to just being a receiver, right, route running and all that stuff, I think that's where Brandon shines. But Debo's just a different type of dude. I mean, he can do that and more. Brandon Ayuk is more polished, but Debo, I feel like, has like the bigger play and more versatile. So I think that's kind of what he's struggling with, because he's probably looking at the tape and saying, "Look, man, put me next to Debo and let's run some routes. I'm probably the better route runner, but Debo's obviously the better option."
Debo's the better football player,
right?
In my opinion, that's how I would say it. Technically, he's the better receiver if you want to teach how to run routes and the more polished player. And he blocks too. I mean, give him credit. He's a complete football player. But if you need a play on 3rd and 5, I mean, you're diagramming something for Debo, not necessarily Brandon. And so I think that's the issue for San Francisco. And the engine of their offense is McCaffrey. And so you're going to pay this guy $10 million more than you're giving McCaffrey, who touches the ball 20, 25 times a game. I think it's a tough situation for them. And then I think if you don't sign him, he's obviously going to be upset. And so that's going to affect your chemistry going into the season, which may impact, how you start the year. So I think it's a really tough situation for San Francisco.
There was a video that came out that the Rams were looking to take Byron Murphy at 16. We had Maurice Jones-Drew, who joined us on our programming and said he had heard the same thing. What do you think really intrigued LA about Byron Murphy, and what do you make of Seattle managing to get him at 16?
Well, there's this guy, Aaron Donald, that's retired. So I'm sure they saw him as a potential replacement for Aaron in terms of the production and what they want to do defensively. So, that would have made a lot of sense if they were able to get him at 19. I'm interested that they weren't willing to move up to get him, but they were willing to move up, according to reports, to get Brock Bowers and weren't unable to do that in terms of, a playmaker on offense, although, Sean McVay's an offensive guy and certainly wants another toy to play with on offense. I think with the Rams, since they didn't get Murphy and they went with Jared Verse, they're now looking at trying to replace that production that, you lose with Donald by committee. They draft Brandon Fisk in the 2nd round, so they're going to pair those two Florida State guys together, along with, having Kobe Turner back and Byron Young, just kind of go young and see if they can do it with numbers and replacing somebody like Donald. So I think when you talk about the Rams, that's one of the main storylines going into training camp is what is their defense going to look like? New defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, the grandson of Don Shula. What is he going to do to change that defense up? And then what are they going to do with Matthew Stafford, who, oh, by the way, wants more money when he looked at these quarterback contracts, wants more guaranteed money beyond this season, getting a little bit long in the tooth, 36 years old. But certainly when you see Jared Goff making $55 million, if I'm Matthew Stafford, I'd want a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the receivers, specifically the one here, or one of them here in Seattle. Obviously, we cover the Seahawks tough, and I'm always looking at DK and his improvements, and I'm watching the way his body is moving. He's looking more fluid, and I go, well, he's entering his 6th year in the league. Have you seen a scenario where a guy continues to improve when he gets to year 6, or do you think by this time he is who he is and accept him for who he is?
No, I think guys can continue to develop and get better. I can't really name one off the top of my head in terms of guys that are, getting better year 6 and year 7. But I think with DK, there's ability to continue to develop. And I think changing to a different offense will help, because now you have to kind of go through and learn a new system, and that's going to kind of spark your interest, in terms of you developing as a player. You're going to be used differently. So that certainly should be something that gets him interested and again, wants him, makes him want to continue to improve as a player. And then you look at the money, he's going to be up, I think, in 2025, 2 more years. And guys are continuing to make more money at a position. That should certainly be a motivation to continue to improve.
Hey, the quarterback situation in general across the 4 teams in the NFC West is really interesting. I mean, you have some divisions where, you're looking at young quarterbacks and, ranking them and comparing them. This one, you've got 2 number 1 overall picks, though like a decade apart from each other, and one not with his original team. You've got Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant, and then you've got Geno as this guy, trying to make a comeback in a really interesting story. I don't necessarily want to ask how you rank them, but how do you see them as a group and where kind of the maybe some of the best situations lie?
I think it's one of the better quarterback groups, in the league when you talk about, divisions. When you look at a guy like Matthew Stafford, he's obviously done it at a high level for a long period of time. He has a Super Bowl ring to his credit. He's probably going to be in the conversation in terms of the Hall of Fame once he's done, with his playing career. When you look at the numbers and the production. Kyler Murray, like you said, drafted number 1 overall. He's 26 years old. I think he's kind of coming into the prime of his career. There's no excuses with Kyler. He has a head coach that he likes and identifies with. I think he's in a system that fits his skill set. He should go out there and put up numbers, and they should be better because of that. And then I think you look at Purdy. A lot of people are saying system quarterback, but he continues to go and produce at a high level. This is his first full offseason as the starter. He was hurt last year coming off the elbow surgery. So he's now had the first time in his career to be able to go through a full offseason. And so now we'll get to see what that looks like in, one of the best offenses, I think, in the league, led by Kyle Shanahan. And then, you look at Geno, new offensive system that I think kind of fits what he does well. This is his 3rd season as a starter in Seattle. And certainly there will be some pressure and expectation on him to improve within that offense. And then he had Sam Howell behind him kind of pushing him. So definitely interesting storylines to look at for all 4 of those teams. And I think there's pathways for all 4 of these teams, in my opinion, to make the postseason. But I think it starts with San Francisco.
Sticking with quarterbacks, this franchise, if they hit on this quarterback, man, that's 3 quarterbacks in a row where they found their franchise guy. I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love obviously leads one of the youngest teams, or the youngest team in football last year, to the playoffs. You take down Dallas. And I'm looking at Jordan Love, and his numbers are great, right? 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,100 yards. And the rumor is, I heard rumors of 10 years, $60 million, which I don't think he should take because quarterback franchises, numbers are still going to go up, right? When you look at Jordan Love, do you think the Green Bay Packers should pay him as the guy? You think they found their guy, or do you think they play out this year and then try to figure it out when the season's done?
That's a tough question because you've really only seen 1 year. And so for me, I'd like to see it again, I would think, before throwing money at him. But that said, quarterbacks that are productive like that are so hard to find. Maybe, and the price is only going to go up. So maybe you go ahead and lock them in and you got them and you don't have to worry about it. And again, that, the price is going to continue to go up for these young quarterbacks, and you feel like you found your guy. And they've done such a good job in years past, like you said, Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers. They put their time in terms of scouting these guys, and they know what they're looking for. So maybe, you believe what you saw last year and you go ahead and lock them up, knowing that if you wait another year, the price tag is just going to continue to go up. So I guess having said all that, go ahead and give them the money.
Hey, we had on a couple folks, but we talked to someone with Pro Football Focus who thinks the Bears are going to make the playoffs, but doesn't think the Seahawks will. He did, however, say that he could see the Seahawks having like a really interesting year where you kind of become an interesting storyline in the offseason about like, well, where are they going here? And weirdly, he compared them to the Rams in kind of their early start. Do you think that's probably just having a young head coach that people are calling like defensive Sean McVay, that there's just so much intrigue around Mike Macdonald? People think like, surely they're going to have a Rams-like rise. Like, are you hearing similar comparisons for Mike Macdonald?
Not necessarily comparisons to Sean McVay, like the defense of Sean McVay, but certainly there's a lot of respect around the league when you talk about Seattle, and I talk to sources about expectations of what's going to happen. I think people expect the defense to be better just because of what he did in Baltimore. And scheme-wise, it's going to be a more, I guess, modern, for lack of a better word, approach to what he's going to do defensively. And the personnel seems like it's there, although there's question marks, I think, probably at linebacker, and then maybe up front, kind of what that's going to look like, just in terms of how he's going to use the personnel. So I think the question is, can they improve on offense? You have Ryan Grubb coming from Washington, where he had a lot of success, and now, can he make that happen, in the NFL? So I think for me, it's just, again, a lot of unknowns, new offense, new defense, new special teams. How is all that going to gel? But I think that's kind of more of a short-term approach and outlook in terms of where the team is at right now. I think long-term, I think he's going to have success, and why there might be some bumps in the road early as they transition and try to establish what they're going to do on offense and defense. I think long-term, again, when you talk to people around the league, there's a lot of respect for him, not just as a defensive mastermind, but as a coach in general. And so I think, expectations are probably optimistic and promising, although they might struggle early on this year.
Every year there's that surprise team, right? Last year it was the Houston Texans. I want to say the year before, Stacey and I were rooting for the Lions to do well. Who do you think is going to be that team this year?
I think it's the Cardinals. I don't think people are talking about them enough. Just having, been down there and watched them, 2 or 3 times last year and a couple times already this year. I think the quarterback is unique as a playmaker. I think people are still kind of caught up in the homework clause and the leadership thing. But, he was drafted number 1 overall for a reason. I just think that him and Cliff, for whatever reason, there was a disconnect there, and there wasn't trust between those two. And there is trust between Gannon and Murray. And he loves the offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, who I think understand how to use his skill set. And then getting Marvin Harrison, getting another running back. They should be better on offense. The question is going to be defensively, can they get after the passer? Can they create pass rush with B.J. Ojulari, making another step in development? But for me, I think the Cardinals are a team to be reckoned with once the season starts.
Do you still see them, or do you see them rather, as being the one most in danger of being the odd one out in a wild card race? Is Seattle in danger of finishing 4th? How do you see kind of the bottom half?
Yeah, I think it's going to be both the Cardinals and the Seahawks kind of competing for that number 3 spot in the NFC West, and it'll probably come down to a final game during the regular season. I expect both those teams to kind of hover around 500. It's tough because the NFC West, you're talking about 2 of the best coaches in the league are in that division.
Yeah.
And so, you expect the Niners and the Rams to be good kind of year in and year out if they have talent. And so you're really kind of competing for that 3rd spot as you continue to kind of create your identity, as a franchise. For Seattle, they're in the first year of that. For Arizona, they're kind of a little bit ahead because they're in the 2nd year of creating that system.
He is Fox Sports NFC West reporter Eric Williams, kind enough to join us to take a look around this division, a little bit of NFL talk here. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Lots of good stuff from Eric Williams. Thinks not many people are talking enough about the Cardinals.
I hated that answer.
I knew it was
sense,
coming.
But I hated it.
Talking about the quarterback group as a whole, saying it's one of the best in football. Really good stuff. Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
I can't believe this is happening. I truly can't believe this is happening for the first down. Bump, you're talking kickers. Talk to me.
Thank you for doing that, Stacey. Punters specifically, and the UFL, we're hearing a lot of stories about guys getting opportunities in the NFL, and there's a punter in the UFL who did his thing. He netted 48.5 yards per kick. That would have led the NFL. Now, naturally, he only played 10 games in UFL, 17 games in NFL, but out of those 10 games, he also had 2.8 punts per game inside the 20 NFL. The leader was 2.2 punts per game. This guy's already been in the league, Marquette King. He's like 32, 33 years old, and he's saying, look, why shouldn't I get an opportunity? And I go, why not? He ain't played in the league since 2018. He got booted out. He was immature. I think that's one of the reasons why he did get the boot. But I'm looking at him, I go, he's in his 30s now. He dominated the UFL. And he made a great point. He said it's harder to punt in the UFL just because fundamentally guys just aren't as good. So guys are linking through the gaps and putting pressure on them. So I go, look, everyone else is getting an opportunity. Go ahead and give our guy Marquette King an opportunity in the NFL. Let's do it again. Run it back. He's matured. You know what? I'll co-sign for him, okay? His credit ain't good. His credit's kind of shaky. Mine's on point. I got you, NFL. I will co-sign for Marquette King. Let's see what he does.
That's where it is, where it's like, can you get into double digits with credit? No, it's not that bad for Marquette. I like waiting for the reveal, though. I was waiting like, who's this guy? Is he going to get a chance with a team? Oh, wait, we know who it is.
We know this guy.
2nd down. Mike McDonald is taking a different approach to practice. Why do you like it?
So he's making practices longer. typically at this point of the year, when I was in the league, and then when Pete Carroll was doing his thing, his practices would be about 2 hours, right? Sometimes even less than that if guys were getting it done. And it sounds like Mike McDonald, during the phase where he can have long practices, he's pushing it all the way to 3.5. That's the max you can have your guys out there. I had to go back and look at just the rules of when you can practice for that duration and when you can't. And he's going to push it. It says on day 2 through 5 of the preseason training camp, no live contact shall be permitted. Players may be on the field no more than 3.5 hours. He's going to push it to that 3.5 hours. Then there's a phase where it's 2.5 hours. He's going to push it to that 2.5 hours. When you have veteran coaches with veteran teams, they're like, look, guys, I'm going to throw you a bone. I can be out here. We can be out here 3.5 hours. I'll give you 2, maybe 2.5. All right, we can be out here 2.5 hours. I'm going to give you 2 hours. I like this because he's getting the most out of his time. He already gave them a day off, their very last day of minicamp. Okay, guys, I'll throw you a bone. But now when you come back, it's time to work. And there's so many things he wants to install. He wants to see how guys, what type of shape guys are in, what they can and can't do. I love this, man. I think that with this group, these guys are going to buy into that because they understand this is a new regime. It's a new day over here. So buy into the long practices. Suck it up, Buttercups, you NFL veterans who've been in the league for a while, who are used to getting all these breaks. Let's get ready to go. But I like this approach, man. I think Mike McDonald is doing the right thing.
Third down. Who can be the most versatile player on the Seahawks defense?
Now, this is just coming from Mike McDonald. He talked to our guy, Brady Henderson, over there at ESPN, and he says, Dre Jones. He says he's versatile on the line. Last year, half the time he was interior defensive lineman, half the time he was outside at DN. He says his skill set allows him to play matchup ball. So what that means is every week they're going to look at, all right, what does this tackle look like? What does this guard look like? Who can we get after with Dre Jones? Let's move him around. Let's do some stunts with him with the rush ins. Let's bring the backers in. The fact that they feel like Dre Jones can be so versatile, it allows them to do some things with the edge rushers and those linebackers. So to hear that he's excited about Dre Jones makes me excited because we feel like over the past year or so, we haven't gotten the most out of him. But you see the talent that he possesses. So yes, Dre Jones could be the most versatile guy on this team. Linebackers are going to be backers. Safeties will be safeties. Devin Witherspoon is another versatile guy. But I'm looking at Dre Jones and I'm listening to what Mike McDonald is saying to him, to our guy, or about him to our guy, Brady Henderson. And I'm rocking with it.
I hope it's Dre Jones because he was the highest price free agent that they'd signed. And I don't want to say he had a bad season by any means, but you just think like you have so much money invested. Like Leonard Williams, Dre Jones, and then obviously your number 16 overall pick. And like Dre Jones weirdly got overshadowed because the contract talks about Leonard Williams and then the number 16 pick comes along and suddenly you're the third name people are talking about when you're one of the highest priced guys.
Yep. Come on, Dre.
Fourth down. It's time to say goodbye, Bump. Who are we saying goodbye to today?
We're saying goodbye to the Pac-12. Pac-12, heck of a run. It's down to the Pac-2. It's officially the Pac-2 today. So I want to thank the legends in the game that played for the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8, whenever they got it. Anthony Munoz was out there. Ronnie Lott. We got John Elway, Mike Haynes, Jonathan Ogden, who I just played golf with last weekend. Good dude. Tony Gonzalez. We got Bruce Matthews, Troy Aikman. We have Warren Moon, Deshaun Jackson, Reggie Bush. I mean, all these greats that went through this conference. And I'm just focusing on football. I mean, if you go track, you go baseball, swimming, whatever, basketball. I mean, it's crazy that we're saying goodbye to the Pac-12 because there were a lot of great men and women that come through this conference and make it what it is. Bill Walton, rest in peace. It's just sad to see it go. I should have worn my Pac-2 hat today.
Yeah.
I didn't realize today was the official day of it being shut down and becoming the Pac-2. But yeah, I want to say goodbye to these schools and thank these athletes for making it what it was because since I was, 12 years old when I first started really getting into football, I knew I wanted to play in the Pac, and that was gone. So big ups to everyone who's been involved and the people behind the scenes, the coaches, the trainers, everybody, man. Sad day.
I'm not saying Larry Scott is like a bad human or deserves punishment by any means, but it is weird that Larry Scott's name is not going to be thought of by people outside of college football reporters, people who obviously follow Pac-12 schools. Like if you're an SEC fan, you know what the Pac-12 is, in this case was. You probably couldn't say what didn't happen with it. In fact, you'd probably be like, oh, they weren't making enough money because, they don't have Bama, Roll Tide. Like, you wouldn't be able to answer really what happened because it is kind of this complicated, business dealings, upper levels of management kind of things that ultimately led to the collapse. And with, ADs and presidents that thought differently about media rights deals and a conference commissioner that thought differently about media rights deals, that wouldn't be the case. But it is such a complicated issue and kind of a boring one to non-football fans. or to football fans rather, that you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like the story of what happened.
You know the details
will
of
get
it.
lost over time very quickly.
It was a 10-year. It was a
Yes.
slow death.
Yes.
10 years.
And it's like, it deserves a documentary. Like it
Mhm.
deserves a
Oh,
30
yeah.
for 30. It deserves something
It's getting one.
explaining what happened, because if you are a casual fan who watches Michigan, you have no idea.
Right.
You do not know what happened, and you're just like, it didn't work out. I guess, we're just so dominant. Like, you don't get it.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
At Shane Company, we'll help you design an engagement ring as unique as your love story. We have the widest selection of diamonds and gemstones for you to choose from, and you can compare them side by side right here in our store. Only at Shane Company can you sift through exquisite diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in a variety of shapes and sizes. We'll help you create your dream engagement ring no matter your price range. Choose the ring setting that speaks to your style, from classic to modern to vintage. We offer so many ways to personalize your ring. Pick your favorite center stone, add a decorative crown and a custom engraving, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, our jewelers know how much your ring means to you. They hand-set each center stone with precision and pride in our jeweler's workshop, so you can feel confident knowing your ring is crafted with the greatest care and comes with an unmatched free lifetime warranty that lets you know we'll always be here for you. Your love story deserves to shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
Food Services, Inc. supports all uniformed personnel and healthcare providers working hard to keep us safe. These heroic men and women spend long hours away from home, protecting our freedom and providing critical medical care. Please thank them for their many sacrifices and putting their lives on the line for us every day. Happy 4th of July to you and yours from the entire team at Food Services, Inc., Washington's premier food distributors, online at foodservicesinc.com.
Window Nation can help beat the heat in your home with a buy two, get two free offer on insulated, energy-efficient windows plus 0 down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Schedule an in-home estimate now at 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
For Down Territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
You're listening to Bumpin' Stacy
on Seattle Sports Station.
Here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Rost.
Pro Football Focus college football analyst Max Chadwick joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Plenty to talk about. Max, how's it going? Happy Monday.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We are, we're having a great day. A little overcast here, but still really enjoying a Mariners weekend. We, though, are switching, obviously, to some college football talk. A lot to discuss. Me and my co-host, both from Pac-12 schools. It's going to be a weird one for both of us now heading into some very different seasons here. I'm going to start with Washington's switch in conferences before we get going. I'm so curious about this program. Obviously, I'm invested as an alum. I have no idea what they're going to look like. New head coach, a million new players. They lost everyone after their national championship game visit. What's your expectation for Washington this season?
Yeah, I don't think you can expect them to be, as magical as they were in the past 2 seasons. Obviously, going from a team that went all the way to the national title game this past season, like you just said, they lost a boatload of talent, including their head coach and star offensive coordinator as well. So it's going to be a different era now for Washington football. And I honestly, I hate to break it to say this to you, but it's kind of wild that they go from a team that made it all the way to the national title game. There's a really good argument that they're not even a top 25 team in the country heading into next year. I think they're probably going to be like a 7-5-ish team, 7-5, 8-4 seems to be the range I think that they could fall into next year. I do like Jed Fish. I do like Jonah Coleman, the running back they got in the transfer portal, but they lost so many of their star players that really was the reason why they made it all the way to the national title game. So I think it'll be an adjustment period for Jed Fish before he really, kicks off his new era in the Big Ten.
I'm going to go over to the other side. My co-host here was a UW alum. I went to Washington State, and we kind of know what's going on with us, right? You're in the Mountain West, and you're trying to get these schools to buy into the fact of maybe making a switch and becoming the Pac-12 Mountain West, whatever you want to call it. What do you think the chances are that Washington State and Oregon State save the West or the Pac-12, I should say, whatever you want to call it, Pac-2, I'm not sure what to call it.
Yeah, obviously, I think, Washington State and Oregon State are kind of the 2 schools that were left behind after all of that, right? And I think, again, it's going to be they have a brand new roster as well in a lot of ways. So I think, the fact that they're playing basically a Mountain West schedule, I know they're not technically a Mountain West team, but for the purposes of this, they essentially are. They can go above 500 next year. I think 6-6, 7-5 is certainly in the cards. Obviously, you lose your star quarterback in Cam Ward and a bunch of other really key players too. But I still think, playing basically a group of 5 schedule now that Washington State could still expect to make a bowl game next year.
Hey, so instead of focusing on just one school, obviously that's where both of us wanted to start. I wanted to talk about some stuff you've written or talked about lately, and one was especially interesting to me. You pointed out, this was just a couple days ago on X, you said 5 of the last 7 Heisman winners were once transfers, and you talked about top 5 candidates to continue that trend this year. It got me thinking a lot about the conversations that Bump and I have had about the way that college football is changing. I know everyone focuses on NIL deals and the money in college for students, and they kind of see that as maybe an undoing of college football. But I think for us, the transfer portal is hugely impactful, and there's both good and bad to that, right, Max?
Yeah, absolutely. The transfer portal is where the game's heading now. I mean, really, the 2 biggest changes to college football that's really directing where the game is heading is, like you just mentioned, NIL and the transfer portal, right? And I think, if you're not utilizing one or both of them to the full extent of your abilities, you're going to get left behind. And I think that's what you're looking at Clemson right now, a school that used to be a top 5 program every single year in the past era of college football, before we really exploded with the transfer portal and NIL. They were excelling. Now, with Dabo Swinney, who's very against NIL and everything he said, and of course he does not utilize the transfer portal, they go from a national title contender to a team that's consistently like top 15, top 20. So I think you really do need to be utilizing it as much as you can, because if you're not, like I said, you're going to get left behind in college football. So, I think the Heisman stat, I think, is indicative of that, and that, a lot of these top quarterbacks is, hey, I'm not getting an opportunity immediately. I want to go transfer somewhere else. And obviously a lot of them have been superstars, right? Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, like all these guys we're talking about are first-round picks, and, all of them were transfers at one point. And I think that it's just the era that we're in right now, and that, even though you get a kid to commit to you out of high school, that does not guarantee you at all that he's going to stay there for 3 or 4 years. Like, he might be looking – you got to always be recruiting, honestly. Even the guys on your roster, you need to always be recruiting to get them to stay. That's just the era we're in now.
We know that football is always changing, right? You've seen offenses change. We're seeing younger coaches kind of lead programs now. And I'm worried that the Nick Sabans, the Kirby Smarts, the Jim Harbaughs are going to be guys just that don't exist anymore. How do you see the leadership changing in college football when it relates to NIL and the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think those guys are still around. Like, we still have the Kirby. Like, I still think Kirby Smart's the best head coach in college football. And obviously, it doesn't matter how good of a CEO you are. You better be a damn good coach in order to be successful. And I think that's really what it boils down to. And I do think, again, NIL is huge and transfer portal is huge. That's why Dabo Swinney, who's an excellent head coach, right, won 2 national titles. That's why he's kind of fallen behind a little bit. But I still think you got to be a really good coach in today's day and age. And we still have some really good coaches in today's day and age. Now, we did lose a couple massive ones, right, in Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh, like you said. But I just think it opens the door for more young coaches to really step up. Like a guy like Dan Lanning, for example, right? I think he's an excellent culture builder. He's doing an amazing job at Oregon. He's a rising superstar in college football in the coaching ranks. I think a guy like Kalen DeBoer has done an amazing job at Washington, right? I'm really excited to see what he can do at Alabama now. Those guys will start to become the faces of college football along with Kirby Smart. So it is a new era that we're in, losing some legendary coaches, but I just think that opens the door, like I said, for more younger guys to step up and take those spots.
Now, Max, this Seahawks team is such that a conversation about the future at quarterback is just going to be happening. It doesn't matter what Geno does this season or if Sam gets out there and does anything. I think people feel like this is a team, as are many organizations in the NFL, that's in limbo. So all of us have our eyes set on the next quarterback class. However, Max, I've heard it's kind of weak. Tell me a bit about what we're looking at this year.
Yeah, it's wide open, to say the least. I think this last summer, I would say, we knew about Caleb Williams and we knew about Drake May. We knew those guys were absolute superstars. Now, of course, guys like Jaden Daniels came in and really broke out. And maybe that'll happen this year, where a guy will break out. I honestly, I'll bet on it happening. It happens basically every year, where a guy comes out of almost nowhere and surprises all of us because of a top 5 pick. This year, though, I mean, look, I like Carson Beck. I like Shedeur Sanders. I like Quinn Ewers, but they would have been, they all had an opportunity to declare for this year's draft, and they didn't do it. And if they did, they probably would have been, maybe first-round picks, but more likely day 2 picks in the NFL draft. So there really isn't, a true star like we've had in years past going into the year, which is exciting, right? It's not like you know Caleb Williams, Drake May. Now it's wide open. A guy like Connor Wegman, who our lead draft analyst Trevor Sycamore from Texas A&M, he actually has him as the number 1 quarterback in the draft. He only played 4 games last year because he got hurt. But in those 4 games, he looked really good. So I think guys like that can really step up and excel. But yeah, it is definitely not as strong at the top as we've seen in past quarterback classes. But I do think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. I do think there's some depth in the class, but I just don't think the star power is really there, at least right now for.
You mentioned Shedeur Sanders, man. I got a question about him. Give me your eval of him, because I think he throws a good football. He's athletic, not extremely athletic, but it's kind of hard to see through all the extra stuff sometimes that surrounds him, And I think some people use that against him, or they put him up on a pedestal. Like, what are the strengths and weaknesses of his game?
Yeah, I think the number 1 strength is probably something that Colorado is hoping to get more out of this year. He is outstanding from a clean pocket. In fact, he had the 3rd best clean pocket passing grade in the country last year, and the only 2 above him were Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, who were obviously the first 2 picks of the NFL draft. So when he's kept clean, he is outstanding because I think he's a great processor. He reads defenses really well. Obviously, you could see how his dad is a Hall of Fame player just because of how smart he is when he's out there on the football field. So I think he does an excellent job of that. I do think the physical tools are like a B to a C+. Like, I don't think he's got an elite arm. I think it's good enough. Like I said, I don't think he's a great runner either. So I think all the physical tools are okay. You know, it's nothing that you're going to go crazy over. But I do think he's a very, very smart player. I hope Colorado is a lot better on the offensive line this year to allow him to play within a clean pocket more, because I do think he's a really talented quarterback. But yeah, I think that those are some of the things. And I know there's some quote-unquote off-field concerns with him and stuff like that, and some of the stuff he's been tweeting at former teammates and stuff that obviously isn't a great look for him. But purely on the field, I think he might be the best pocket passer, or one of the best that we have in college football, at least right now.
Hey, Max, last one for me, and it's more big picture, just because this is a conversation that's personally really interesting to me, so curious to see if it is the same for you. I know that so much of your job is looking at kind of like little micro pictures of college football, right? Like you recently ranked the best secondaries in college football, or interviews with different players, and kind of taking a day-by-day, season-by-season look. But do you ever get into big conversations with colleagues about like the future of college football? There's so much change right now.
Yeah, it is a wild time to be in the world of college football, right? This is probably the craziest upcoming season that we'll ever have in terms of all the realignment we got, in terms of the 12-team playoff we have, in terms of the transfer portal booming more than it's ever had before, in terms of NIL obviously booming more than it's ever had before. It is truly a brand new college football that we're not used to, and I think it's going to be really interesting this upcoming season. I don't think it's done changing it. I don't think this is it. I think there's more realignment coming. I think there's more teams that are going to get added to the college football playoff. I think there's a chance that the Power 4 conferences break away from the Group of 5 altogether, honestly, and make 2 completely different levels. I think there's a chance for all of that, honestly. I don't think college football is done changing just yet, which I know is kind of a scary thing to hear for a lot of fans who are sick of all the changes already, but I don't think we're done just yet, honestly. And I think it certainly is a wild time to be in the world of college football, but it's an exciting time nonetheless, too. I'm really excited to see how this sport changes, and especially this upcoming season is going to look basically unique to anything we've ever seen before in college football.
He is Max Chadwick, host of Pro Football Focus's College Football Show. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts, or you can also check it out on YouTube if you prefer that medium. Thanks so much, Max.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, guys.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy, and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Chelsea Handler, Little Big B.
I say I don't want to be a mother, but I wouldn't mind being like a divorced dad, you know? I could crush that role, coming in hot at like 50% all the time.
August 1st, 8 p.m., Muckleshoot Event Center. On sale now at muckleshootcasino.com/entertainment for tickets. Chelsea Handler, live.
Or a stepfather. That's another role I would crush.
Don't waste time trying to get rid of your old or broken down car. Cars for Kids is the easiest and fastest way to donate your car and get a tax deduction. Go to carsforkids.org today. That's cars with a K. carsforkids.org. Ready for some summer hoops? Register your team for the Everett 3-on-3 tournament, presented by Boeing in downtown Everett, July 13th and 14th. 4 players to a team and 2 days of exciting action. Players of all ages and abilities are encouraged to come out and play. Team registration has been extended to July 8th. Register your team by July 8th at everett3on3.net. That's everett3on3.net. A special thank you to event sponsors Amazon, Boys and Girls Clubs, McNaughton Foundation, and Coastal Community Bank.
Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Are you tired of losing weight just to see it all come back again? Summer is around the corner and you want to look and feel like yourself again, but getting back on that frustrating weight loss roller coaster is the last thing you want to do. You've heard about the new drugs but are concerned with the possible side effects, or you're taking weight loss drugs but also want to learn how to change your lifestyle for long-lasting results. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle strategies. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
Losing the weight is great, but maybe the best part of this program is the sustainability, what comes afterwards, because it doesn't really matter how much weight you lost if you're not able to keep it off, and Eastside's program is fantastic.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-522-5070 or eastsideweightlossklinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's important to know you have several options for treatment. I'm here with Dr. Meyer, Medical Director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, to talk about one of the best and technologically advanced treatment options, CyberKnife. Dr. Meyer, why is CyberKnife one of the best procedures to treat prostate cancer?
Well, treatment for prostate cancer can affect men's quality of life. It can affect their romantic life. It can affect their urine and bowel function. And the CyberKnife does the best job of preserving that function while having excellent cancer control rates.
What do your patients think of the CyberKnife treatment experience?
Well, at the Swedish CyberKnife, our patients are really satisfied with the experience. They report very few side effects, and we are seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later.
To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Add a custom quartz countertop, change things up a bit, add some more cabinets, install some cool new features like soft close drawers and sliding shelves. Whatever you like, we'll help you create the new kitchen you'll be proud of. All in about a week, and all with way less mess, hassle, and expense than a tear out. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Call today and let one of our pros come out and show you how easy and comfortable it'll be to get going on your new kitchen. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
911, what's your emergency?
They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy
on Seattle's Sports Station.
Here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Rost.
Joining us now to talk Mariners, Ryan Rowland-Smith on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're okay.
Horrible.
We're okay. Bump feeling horrible. I think in large part because of the Mariners' offense is maybe putting a lot of people in a sour mood. It's tough to watch, man. It really is. What do you think about it right now?
Yeah, it is. Something where obviously coming out of spring training to April, May, June, July, you're kind of looking at this and you're like, well, if they just do this or they just do that, if they cut down the strikeouts, if you've got that one new addition, who starts swinging the bat, if so-and-so can stay healthy, whatever it was, okay, everything will start to really change and go in a different direction. But it's been difficult, that's for sure. I think that when you look at it, when you look at the complete contrast in regards to offensive to what the pitching is doing, that's the thing that's pretty amazing. I can sit here all day and tell you guys, and not that you want to hear this, or your listeners want to hear it and say, well, how amazing has his pitching been to be in the fact that you're winning a division right now solely because of the performance of the pitching, because no one wants to hear that. And, you have this trade deadline looming. And so it puts the Mariners, if there's any silver lining here, and the Mariners front office, the baseball office will be the first to tell you this, puts them in a unique position where they are it's kind of like that. That no choice. Excuse me, I wouldn't say no choice. I mean, like no-brainer in regards to what we're going to do in a couple of weeks. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago to you guys, matter of fact, that as long as the bullpen is somewhat stable, as long as you can feel like comfortable about getting Santos back and having enough depth there, all right, we can go solely focus on adding some offensive pieces. And that doesn't mean, mortgaging the farm system for one bat. It's kind of a situation where I guarantee you they've been diving into different scenarios and adding 2 bats, for example, and shuffling, making some lateral moves to just to add just some sort of dynamic piece to the offense. So they're in a spot right now. They've gotten this far. They're leading a division, and it's the silver lining I'm talking about. You've gotten this far to a point where it's kind of a no-brainer. What do we need to fix? There's no mystery, and it's a matter of if you can go do it. It's going to be tough, though, because the trade deadline is going to be extremely competitive because you have that extra wild card team and you've got 50 million teams hanging out wanting the same pieces, essentially. So it's going to be interesting, but you look at it, it's agonizing. But, man, they are still clinging to that first place. They are still competitive. They're top 10 in power rankings, all that stuff that you have to look at and say, all right, now let's try and fix this or 1 through 9, let's your regulars. Let's have a big month of August and put us in a really good position because you just don't want to waste this pitching right now.
There hasn't been many opportunities for me to kind of criticize what Service does throughout a game. I realize that, look, there's only so much you can do. Once the game is on, he makes a few decisions and we're good to go. Walk me through what you think he was thinking when he pulled Rojas, the only guy with a hit in that game, and put Demo in.
I understand that. But you're in that position, you have to, look, to his credit, right? The situation where you have Rojas who, look, I know he's got the one hit, but there's just been little tendencies lately from him. You call it the last 10, call it the last 25, 30 games, where you look at something as a manager and go, you know what, I'm following my gut here because we have to get something going. The original plan's not working, whether that's looking back the last 10 games or the last 2 months. I have to get something going. I have to make some sort of adjustment. You go a little bit deeper dive into saying, all right, what pitch are we going to see here? What can Demo handle? What can Rojas handle right now? We're not talking, the batting average or what he's done all year. It's in that moment. Is there a comment that Rojas may have said that, look, oh man, I'm just not catching up to this, that, and the other in the dugout, or the hitting coach has relayed back to Scott Service? So a situation like that, and when you are trying to spark something, and you have a feeling, I see what he's trying to do. You're just trying to generate something. And look, I've been in situations, especially from a bullpen standpoint, where I've been on teams and hindsight, you look like, oh man, how are we not making this move? But if you actually sit down, not that you do, because managers are kind of frustrated at times, especially when you get shut out. But if you ask them afterwards, if you actually have a deep dive, you get a pretty good answer from that. And so, I get it. You're trying to just generate some different look or maybe one pitch or a situation like, you know what, I feel like Demo's just simply a better matchup because of what is happening at the present moment, and you just go with your gut. And it's hard because the pressure you're under right now offensively, and you get shut out again, and if it doesn't work or something doesn't go on and you're looking at a big 0 after the game, man, it just has that extra pressure. Now, in saying that, I would prefer, and Bump, I'm sure it's been the same with in your football career, you would prefer to have a coach/manager who follows their gut a little bit more and is willing to risk any kind of credibility or risk people in hindsight questioning what they're doing, as opposed to someone who kind of sits back and just kind of lets something roll over. So I understand what you're saying, but there's just so many different little numbers and things that go in what they're saying from a hitter standpoint or from the pitcher they're facing that determine that. And you know what, go with your gut, because there's going to be moments in August and September, because this team is winning the division, that you go with your gut. And I'm telling you, and again, I go back to the bullpen thing because I can speak from that point of view. Watching him go from when he first was the first year as a Mariners manager, learning his guys, understanding tendencies, and then from there until now, in the last call it nearly a decade, man, you look back at, man, God, that was actually a pretty good move. Man, that was a pretty good move. And it's gotten better and better and better because he understands his guys. He has that relationship with them. It's super, super important. I think there's that understanding and stuff that we don't see behind closed doors that he follows his gut on. So I got no problem with that.
A lot of people yesterday on social, and granted, you're going to have an emotional reaction to a game in which your team gets 2 hits, were saying, man, Julio just doesn't look like he has it at the plate right now. Like, he just looks lost. He looks broken. He looks whatever. I think that's probably heavily influenced by, obviously, that final AB where he was just really swinging at it. It was just way too high. But do you see that? We had you on last week, and we asked, like, hey, what do you see stance-wise, or what do you see, in terms of what he looks like? But what do you see him struggle with, and is it always the same thing, just over and over and over? And,
you know what? Physically, you might be able to make a tweak to the swing, maybe physically, all right? But approach-wise, 100%. Look, you have to be an absolute freak and someone who's a bats ball master, call it Arise, call it, Stephen Quine, call it, Tony Gwynn, to be in a situation where it's, see a pitch up, get it late, and then be able to put really good contact on it. Aaron Judge, Julio Rodriguez, I'm throwing some big names out there, Juan Soto, those guys go up to the plate and they say, all right, I am so convicted, I am going to get this breaking ball for a strike. I'm so convicted that this guy's going to try and pitch me in, or I'm so convicted that I'm getting a hitter in this count. And they trust that. And when you're going well, that's what happens. When you're watching Julio right now, you cannot sit in a situation, because where he's at mentally as well, the power numbers are down. He's feeling that every time he glances up and sees just a lack of thump. You cannot go up there, try and recognize a slider, and then be ready for a fastball. You cannot go up there and sit on a fastball and then go, no, there's a slider, I need to go get it. You just can't. There's times where he can. As a matter of fact, there's times where he feels so dialed in and so comfortable he'll catch a pitch late, but he'll crush it into right field because he's stuck in between, but not now. At the point right now where he swings at in his approach, he doesn't have the luxury where he can second guess and be bat to ball. He just can't. He has to go up there and say, you know what, in a 1-0 count, this is a pitch I'm getting. 2-0, this is a pitch I'm getting. He did that against Mason Miller, that home run back in Oakland. He went up, and what happened was Mason Miller could not land that slider. He tried to throw 2 of them. So Julio just eliminates that pitch. Now, that's 100+, 103 up in the strike zone. You're like, wow, I can catch that pitch. He's not swinging through that because he is so convicted. He called time right before that pitch. This is going back a few weeks back in Oakland. He called time. He knew he was getting a fastball straight up. You're going to try and beat me with a fastball, even though it's your best pitch and there's an absolute just black zone at the top of the strike zone against Mason Miller. And he crushed it, took him straight away center field because that's eliminating pitches. So Julio right now, he has to eliminate a certain pitch. If he sees a certain spin, you just don't swing. Strike 3, tip your cap, whatever. He has to eliminate that and not be stuck in between. In my opinion, look, there could be something else going on swing-wise where he doesn't feel comfortable, but he just at the moment doesn't have the luxury to be up there kind of, getting caught, stuck in between, getting caught behind and driving the ball into right field, even if he's caught off balance.
All right, last one for you, Ryan, and then we got to let you go. It's just going to be what you're really watching for in tonight's game so that we all know what we're tracking.
Well, I want to see some offense, man. I think, look, the Baltimore Orioles, they're facing a really tough team. They're really, really tough. However, the Orioles have got a situation now with starting pitching that it may hit them a little bit. I really think. So I think with the Mariners, the one thing you want to see is obviously offense early. We just do not see that in regards to getting some early offense. And I think too, look, Logan, correct me if I'm wrong here. Logan is pitching tonight. I didn't mess that up. There's been no change. So Logan, here's the other thing. I want him to make that All-Star team. And I feel like he will. I feel like he's going to be okay making that All-Star team. You just want to be in a position if it comes down to, because pitchers are funny like that. Pitchers are funny because they get it's a little bit different of fan voting, as we all know with the All-Star game. You want that last couple starts to be 7, give up a run, whatever it may be, to make sure you can seal the deal and feel really good about Logan being your All-Star. So I'm excited to see him pitch. I'm going to the game. I'm taking a bunch of young Aussies, a bunch of 13-year-olds. I've talked about Logan Gilbert forever, and I'm like, oh, God, I hope they haven't switched anything up or there hasn't been a change with an off day or anything like that. I'm missing. I'm like, did I miss that?
No, I think it's Miller tomorrow, Logan today.
Okay, good. So, with Logan, you just want to see him finish strong right before and look, a long season ago, don't get me wrong. But, man, I know that was a big goal of his. Finish strong, cement that All-Star game for him, and I'll be good to go.
He is Ryan Rowland-Smith, kind enough to join us on this beautiful Wednesday. Thanks, Ryan. Have fun at the game.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's Dave Wyman for R&R Foundation Specialist. R&R Foundation Specialist doesn't just restore and repair settling foundations. They're also able to pull retaining walls back into place. Erosion of soil and poor installation are just a couple of reasons retaining walls begin to fail. So if you have a retaining wall on your property that is leaning or cracked, you can save thousands by having R&R Foundation Specialist restore the wall rather than dealing with the enormous cost of replacement. R&R drives steel piers horizontally deep into the soil to re-anchor the wall and put it back into place. They also use incredibly strong carbon fiber straps to repair cracks and restore the structural integrity of the slab. This solution even works on seawalls. So if you suspect your foundation is settling or have a retaining wall that's leaning, it's important to have it fixed properly. Have R&R Foundation Specialist come out for free and tell you what the issue is like they did for me. Schedule your free estimate at rrfoundationspecialist.com.
4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients in our community. Join us at Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle for an afternoon of hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th at nwhopeandhealing.org. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kidkind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Let's talk about summertime. Bikinis, the occasional Speedo, sunshine, and almost always more drinking. But don't let the wine coolers or hard lemonades fool you. Too many drinks at the beach can get you in a whole lot of trouble. You're sporting a farmer's tan, but the police are wearing heavy, dark uniforms. And it's not because they're comfortable. If you don't take preventative measures, your summer tan can become a costly burn. Take a designated driver with that aloe vera and SPF 50. Call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com to set up a free private consultation. Jail is no place to ask, missed a spot? Mind getting where I can't reach? Be reasonable this summer. And always remember, 1-800-DUI-AWAY has your back.
1-800-DUI-AWAY!
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. How the Seahawks landed on Mike Macdonald as Pete Carroll's successor. It is an in-depth article published earlier this morning through Sports Illustrated that looks at the behind the scenes, the Seahawks hiring of Mike Macdonald and everything that goes into now working on this program. Albert Breer, author of this article, joining us now. You guys already know who Albert Breer is. Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Albert, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
We are so happy to have you. We read this article this morning. We talked about it on air about an hour ago, leading into this conversation. And Albert, what stood out most to me is John Schneider's focus on making clear, like, hey, we're still borrowing from a lot of what worked. You don't just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to an organization. Is that something that really resonated with you in these conversations?
Yeah, I mean, that was what was sort of unique about this one is, 9 times out of 10, like I said in the story, a new coach comes in and he's inheriting something broken. I don't think that's the case here. And, while there probably was some things that needed updating or changing or evolving, the bones of the program were good that Pete left behind. And, I can remember, this is 2 summers ago now, sitting down talking with Geno Smith, and he talked about like continuing to come back, and this was before he even won the starting job, and the reason why he kept coming back on 1-year deals, and he said what attracted him there in the first place, and what he found when he got there was a really unique culture, a really unique atmosphere that was different than anything he'd ever been a part of, and so I think it speaks to like how how player friendly that place has been, and how how different it's been than so many other places in the league, and how attractive it's been to players. And so, I think instead of deconstructing that, the idea was, how do we build on it? How do we find somebody that can take what we've done and enhance it? And so, I think that's probably why they shied away from getting the more of the taskmaster head coach, like a Mike Vrabel or a Bill Belichick, that comes from that sort of tree, and we're looking for someone who could kind of add, again, like just kind of the next step of what was already in place there, and you listen to the energy when you hear Mike and John talk together, right? Like, and I had them together. You can really kind of feel that. You can really feel like how. Like the energy that had been in that building remains there. And so there's some challenges that come along with that, by the way, that we can get into. But, certainly, I think Mike's embraced the idea that he's inheriting something that has, a good foundation for him to build off of.
I'm glad. And when the pick was made, or Mike was hired by the Seahawks, that's the feeling that I got, because I felt like, Albert, that he's young enough to have fresh ideas, but also young enough to know that you should lean on some things that have some success. So if you could look at, what you got from John Schneider and Mike Macdonald, what would you say is the thing that resembles Pete the most and the thing that makes this program absolutely Mike Macdonald's?
So I would say the thing that resembles Pete the most is probably the energy, right? Like, so I think, you listen to those 2 guys talk when they're together, and you can feel that, and you can hear it, like I said. I also think that it's like the idea is to maximize every player, which is exactly what Pete was, right? Like, how can we maximize every player? and how can we build something that has real identity and, has a real clear vision. And I can remember talking with Pete about this years and years and years ago where, one of the problems that he had with the Jets and the Patriots before, going to USC and then ultimately Seattle was that because of the way the organizations were set up, he couldn't really carry out his vision. And he did have a real clear vision for what he wanted, but he couldn't quite get the organization all where it needed to be to carry out that vision. And Seattle gave him that chance. I think it's the same thing with Mike, where he's got a very clear vision for what he wants. Where I think it veers from Pete is probably more the schematic stuff. Pete, like a lot of the roots of what Pete did was very simple and built on playing fast, and there were very strict prototypes for certain positions and what you needed and certain spots and out of certain roles. And, all of it obviously worked. I think Mike, my feeling at least is that Mike is going to be looking for more flexibility in everything that he does because this is where he's from, right? Like, so you're probably going to have a deeper well scheme-wise than you have there for a little while. And you're going to have versatility be very, very important trait for players, And you can see that with the way if you watch the way Baltimore plays, right? Like Baltimore had a bunch of guys who could play inside or outside at corner, had a bunch of guys who could play on the line as pass rushers and still, drop off the line and play in coverage. On offense, like all the things that the Ravens did on offense were based on deception and really having guys who could do a number of different things. I think Zay Flowers was a great example of that as their first-round pick last year, right? So, I think that that's probably where he veers a little bit from Pete, and that like where, Pete's schemes were built largely on simplicity and athleticism and prototypes. I think what you'll see with McDonald is probably a little bit more flexibility and versatility being emphasized.
Albert, you've not just covered the NFL for a while, that also means you've covered a lot of head coaches being fired and a lot of new head coaches coming in. I would imagine that a lot of those scenarios feel the same, right? Like if you're firing your head coach, you're kind of a mess of an organization, but it's not always the case. How does Seattle look different to you, if at all, from an organization that typically does move on from a head coach?
Well, I mean, like I said, like you're normally broken, right? Like so, but there is an advantage to that, right? Like there is for a new coach coming in. Like, I mean, if you come into a broken scenario and the team just went 2-14 and the roster's in rough shape and there's not young talent there, well, like as a coach, then you come in, you have control right away, right? Like you come in and you can tell the guys, like, look, like what you were doing wasn't working, so do it my way and we'll get different results. You have a lot of guys in that roster right now who won under Pete Carroll and who played well and developed under Pete Carroll. Geno Smith went through a career renaissance under Pete Carroll. There are a ton of young players, Charles Cross, Abe Lucas, Devin Weatherspoon, like lots of guys on that roster that should be, foundational to where the Seahawks are going, that were either developed or enhanced by Pete Carroll. So, when you're walking into a situation like that, it's not as automatic, right? Like it's not as automatic as if, you were walking into a 2-14 team. You probably are going to have to sell those guys a little bit more. And those guys might want a little bit more input because they were doing things that were working, So I think that that's a little bit more of a challenge. And, it was interesting talking to Mike about it because I think that that's sort of the difference between a subtle difference in the challenge he faced at Michigan versus the challenge he faced at Baltimore, where, Michigan, he was going into a place where they weren't very good the year before. The defense had been good, but they weren't very good the year before, and the guys didn't really know him. When he got to Baltimore, he had sort of, I think, maybe dipped his toe in the pool instead of diving right in on changes because he knew all of those guys, and he had been there before, and they had been so successful. And so, I think those two experiences, a subtle difference, the experience he has as a coordinator from Michigan to Baltimore, I think serves him well here because it prepares him for the challenge he faces in inheriting a situation that's not broken.
Hey, Albert, my wife and I do this thing. She's my business partner, right? And when we go out to these lunches or wherever, and we're talking business, and a question is, sent to me or sent to her, and it's not our expertise. We can take it to a certain place. And right before we get to that place where we're done, we kind of give each other the look of the nod, and then they automatically, or she automatically takes it over, or I take it over, and we kind of bounce off each other like that. Is that the type of feel you got with these two? Is like, all right, I'm going to take this answer as far as I can, but I know this is where John comes in, so I'm going to send it his way and vice versa.
Yeah, it was like a natural. I mean, they just sound natural talking together, which I think is a big part of it. And that's what you're probably looking to come out of the interview with, like, quite honestly. And there's a lot of unknown when you're only meeting with a guy twice before you hire him. But through your research and then through the rapport that you're able to build, if it comes really easy, that's a good sign. And I think that was I hope you guys took that from the story, that was a big part of it for the two of them, right? And I think some of that trust was reflected in, Mike and his staff consciously taking a step back during the draft process and, letting John Schneider and his scouts go to work. Because right now they're the ones who've done all the work. They're the ones who sort of established things. And so, obviously you could get input from your coaches, but the coaches were able to kind of take a step back here and let the process play out. And I think that was one thing that was really encouraging to Mike and his staff too, was that watching that play out, they wound up with the sorts of players that those guys would have drafted if it were up to them anyway. And you'll see how that evolves over the course of years. And the coaches obviously be more involved in year two than they were in year one, and year three than they were in year two. But the early signs were really good that rapport was there.
All right, heading outside of Seattle, we only got you for a couple more minutes. So wanted to take a look at some interesting stories around the league. I know that in your column for Sports Illustrated last week, you wrote about the structure of Justin Jefferson's contract and maybe what took a long time to figure out for the team. Looking forward, two interesting quarterback situations. You got Dak with the Cowboys, and then, of course, you got Tua in Miami. These may be two very different quarterback contracts, but neither is decided yet, and we're all watching both closely. Is there one that intrigues you more, and what do you wish you could know or have answered about that situation?
Well, the Jordan Love one really intrigues me just because, you have evidence that he's got the ability to play at a high level, but you just don't have a lot of track record, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you pay a guy like that? And my guess would be you probably pay him at the top of the market, but maybe you don't have the guarantees that a guy who's got, more of a more proof of concept, on his resume would get. So that one's interesting to me. The Tua, I think Tua winds up getting done because the Dolphins have done everything that they needed to do, and they jumped through all the hoops they've needed to jump through in sort of reformatting the roster. They let Jerome Baker and Xavier Howard go. They let Christian Wilkins walk in free agency. They've re-signed Jalen Waddle, so they've sort of started to do the things that you'll do when you get when your quarterback gets more expensive. Dak's the one to me that I look at that, and if of the three guys we're talking about here would be the one that I think would surprise me the least if he's on another team in 2025. Doesn't mean I think it's going to happen, but I sort of get the feeling that the Cowboys may be with Dak Prescott right now, where the Rams were with Jared Goff going into 2020. And again, doesn't mean they can't have great success, and he might not be on the team for a long time, but if they stumble and then some sort of opportunity comes along the way that it did with the Rams and Matthew Stafford, who knows what could happen.
I know we're supposed to focus on the Seahawks, Albert, but I got you here, and I'm going to ask you just a question. I want to ask you, you posted, it has nothing to do with football. We're on basketball. Sorry, Stacey.
Oh, no, I'm so glad you're asking because this is, I wanted to ask you this, Albert.
So you posted that this was the right move for Dan Hurley. I'm an LA fan, grew up in LA, so this is close to my heart. And I can't disagree with you because I understand. I would have loved to have Dan coaching my Lakers, but there's a lot more for him to do and accomplish at UConn. What was your tweet about, and kind of walk me through your thinking behind it?
I just think that, so I don't know how you make it work with the Lakers right now. You know what I mean? Father Time's undefeated, right? LeBron's still a really good player, but can he be one of the two best players on a championship team at this point in his career? I mean, and what sort of other strings attached are coming with him. Can you get another star in there? If you can't get another star in there in the next year or two, now you're offloading LeBron. Like, obviously, I think you have the deficit of draft picks. Like, what's the next step? Now it's LA and it's the Lakers, so you're always going to be able to attract stars, and that's always going to be an attractive job for that reason and because of all the history. It just feels like this isn't the best time to take that job. And when you're someone who's got someone like Hurley, who's got the leverage that he's got, and you got a chance to, again, be like John Wooden, of UConn. I just don't know why this would be the time you would leave. It's easy for me to say that. I'm not turning down $70 million. You know what I mean? And who knows what he'll get from UConn, but that will be the reason why. I don't know. Would you agree with that? I don't think this is not the time to take the Lakers job, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe if LeBron was 5-6 years younger. Yeah. It's as much as it hurts to agree with you, it makes complete sense.
See, I got to be honest with both of you. I totally thought you were going to ask Albert about a tweet doing numbers this morning. Albert, that's your tweet about Caitlin Clark being snubbed from the Olympics. We have been talking about this all morning, whether or not it was completely on merit, whether or not it's the WNBA avoiding a distraction. And you put out a post this morning saying, look, Olympic team should be picked on merit, no doubt. But then you pointed to a very real opportunity the WNBA in the Olympics at large had. Would you mind talking just a bit about that point?
Yeah, it's one roster spot, and I understand. It sucks that somebody would have to go home in that spot. But I've heard people compare it to the NBA and the NFL. The WNBA is not in that position. You know what I mean? They're in a position where, I guess the Indiana Fever was drawing 4,000 people a game, something like that, and now it's 17,000 because of this one person. And she's going to cause people to watch games. She'd cause people to watch Olympic games, and I'm not an expert on this, but it sounds like the U.S. is just going to roll through the Olympics, right? There won't be a ton of reason for people to watch them. And by putting Caitlin Clark on the team, you're giving people a reason to watch, and that gives people a window to see all the other great players. And, maybe the next time they're coming back to watch somebody else because they came the first time to watch Caitlin Clark. That's how you grow a sport, And, I've heard these parallels between, all right, like Tim Tebow in the NFL, right? I guess that would be an example of somebody who might be put on a team where it's not about merit. Or, in the NBA when Jeremy Lin, when that whole thing blew up, right? And how he became a draw. I just don't think the WNBA is in the same position those leagues are. They're in a position where they need to grow. And this would have been a really easy way to do it. Putting her on that roster would have been a very easy way to get more people watching women's basketball, which I thought was the goal.
He is MMQB's Albert Beer, kind enough to join us to talk about his latest column. Make sure you go check it out. Excellent read. Albert, we kept you just a couple minutes late. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Albert.
All good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I'm going to skip through 4 down territory. We only have a couple minutes.
How dare you.
I know, but I wanted to talk basketball, if that's okay. So I figured you'd be okay with the trade-off. I'm going to throw you a couple questions about Caitlin, about what Albert had to say about the Lakers, and then we'll do a little tiny talk about the NBA Finals here. So I'll start with his take on Caitlin. We talked about it a little bit this morning. We've talked about this entire take plenty. Mm-hmm. What do you make of, though, the idea that, look, if you're going to roll through anyways, and if you're going to get gold anyways.
Yeah, that's what stuck. Automatically I go, yeah, because I don't know women's basketball international like that. I don't know if, when I think of men's basketball, I know France is going to be tough. I know Spain is going to be tough. Every now and then, Puerto Rico is going to put out a team or two.
Yeah.
I don't know the landscape of women's basketball like that. So as soon as he said, it sounds like you're going to roll through competition anyway. Why the heck not? Why wouldn't you want to get as many eyes as possible on your product? The USA basketball team is the WNBA's product because you don't have the overseas influence that the NBA has at this point. I think eventually you are going to get that influence as this game grows. But that makes complete sense. You capitalize. You strike while the iron is hot. You ride the wave. Any other cliche you want to say, that's what you have to do. That's good marketing. That's good business. So the WNBA missed an opportunity with this. And I think it's because they want to appease the older players like Diana Taurasi who don't think that she deserves it, or the young players who don't, I wouldn't say hating on her, but are a bit envious of the attention that she is getting, even though I feel like she has earned it. If this is a lock to win a gold medal, why would you put the most popular player in your league on that team? It's ain't USA men's basketball where dudes are coming for your head. This is going to be the most competitive Olympic basketball tournament that the U.S. has ever seen. You put your best guys out there. And even then, I think they got it wrong as well. But, yeah, man, this is it's bad business, honestly, man.
I know. What do you make of the pushback? I'm curious because I like that opinion. And I think the pushback that some people have to it, particularly more longtime WNBA fans, is, well, the WNBA shouldn't be forced to jump through hoops and dance because you want them to dance and do whatever you want them to do just for the sake of being more popular. And I understand that idea of, no one should want their favorite team and their league and whatever to just do something to get views and to do something to get popularity, even if the WNBA could use more of it and deserves more of it. But it's not like Caitlin's bad. I would understand it if Caitlin was just, she's here because she's, for some reason, a viral sensation. She's an influencer, and so she's here, and we should put her on the team. Like, if she brought nothing. She's leading all rookies in scoring.
Yeah.
Like, that's where that's where my pushback to that take is.
And she's the 13th leader in scoring in the league, and she's outscoring a couple girls you got on this team. A couple women, excuse me. Opposite kind of stage of their career. Why did the LA Galaxy pay like $250 million for David Beckham to come to the MLS?
Popularity.
Eyes were going to be on him.
Yep.
My man was at the end of his career, 30-something years old, still gave you a couple good moments, but was nothing like he was in Europe. Why do you do it? Because it grows your league. Look at this league now. The MLS is real. It is real. And now you got guys coming over all the time. Messi is here, granted, towards the end of his career.
Still.
Ronaldo's thinking about coming over towards the end. But why do they do that? It's good for business.
And it's selling tickets.
And it's
selling working.
It's business, baby. Let's go.
Beckham documentary on Netflix, by the way. 10 out of 10. Recommend it. I enjoyed it so much. And let me tell you what. Victoria Beckham's a ride or die.
Is she?
She really is.
Yeah.
She's a real one. What did you make of his take on Hurley? Did he make the right decision?
Yeah, it makes sense, man. LeBron's going to be out of here. You have no young talent with the Lakers. Anthony Davis is probably going to be a piece move to try to bolster this roster up again. I just hate that the Celtics are balling right now, and we don't have a coach.
Yeah. Someone said she's not the most popular. She's popular because the media made her famous. Guess what being popular is?
Oh, my God.
Who are people talking about the most? Who are people talking about the most right now?
And why are they talking about her? Because she's the greatest scorer in college basketball history. #1 pick. She's popular because of that.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners have arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. I think I'm probably taking the Mariners at the end of the day over every team in the American League right now.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
This is the team to beat in the division. And it's not just a hot take. That's what the numbers say, that they're the team to beat in the division.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. So let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
Calling all golfers. We don't have time to waste. 4 days of ridiculous prices on golf balls from Bridgestone, Callaway, TaylorMade, starting at $9.99. And rock bottom pricing on gloves from $7.99. Your sidewalk sale ends Sunday at Putts.
At Shane Company, we believe everyone deserves a personal jeweler. Whether it's a gemstone expert to show you every shape, size, and color until you find the perfect stone, someone dedicated to helping you find just the right gift in your price range, or our unmatched free lifetime warranty that protects your jewelry for life. At Shane Company, we know jewelry is personal. Come visit us and let us show you around. We go above and beyond to spark joy for all our customers. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at Metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool has been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Help create a future with no more victims. Join Molly Shen and the Davis Law Group at Walk Like Mad, September 22nd at Magnuson Park. Walk Like Mad raises awareness and funds to help end drunk driving and prevent underage drinking. Every step taken and every dollar raised can help keep our families and communities safe. Sign up to walk or join our team at maddwashington.com. That's MADDWashington.com. Walk Like Mad, September 22nd at Magnuson Park. Register today.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Wrapping things up at 1:45 with what I need to know. You can get those questions in now. Text them to the Mac and Jack's text line 866-979-3776. Any questions, send it now. 866-979-3776. We're heading to the station for Hype Train. Let's go. Last night, Bump heard something on the Mariners broadcast that made him text Justin. Then Justin texted a friend to make sure that he was hearing it right, too. It was Mariners fans booing. This came after Jorge Polanco grounded into a double play. Fans not happy, and it brewed up a controversy about whether or not it's ever okay to boo your team. Some fan bases do it all the time, others don't. Fans should never boo their team is the first hype train.
I would never do it. Me personally, I wouldn't do it, but I'm not going to we tell people how we feel all the time here, and we have a platform to do so. This is all they have. Fans show up to the game, they spend their money. They were told a bunch of things before the season, and they feel like they've been let down. So, no, I'm on the hype. No, I'm not on the hype train.
Not on the hype
Fans
train.
should be able to boo their team if they feel it is necessary. Do you, boo-boo? Do you? I wouldn't do it, though.
Fans should never boo their team. Bump said, look, you should feel free to express yourself as a fan. I got to do it into a mic. If you want to do it by booing at your team, so be it, even though it's not how he moves. Curtis, are you boarding this hype train?
I'm not boarding this hype train for the same reasons. I'm not going to tell a fan how they should or shouldn't express themselves during a game unless it means doing the wave. Then I will absolutely tell you
That you
to
can't
not
do a wave.
But if you feel like booing your team, go right ahead. There's no quicker way to get your message across, right? At a game.
Let's go ahead and jump to the next.
Just giving a team a thumbs down, that's not going to do anything. They can't hear you. You can hear a boo.
Improvising our next train. Having it leapfrog what was the second hype train. Ban the wave from MLB stadiums. Bump, are you boarding?
Not only am I not boarding, I'm asking everyone at T-Mobile tonight to do the wave for 18 minutes straight so we get the world record back from Japan. In 2015, they said it. So, nah, man. Look, there are some times where the wave is going down and I don't participate because I'm like, I just want to sit and watch the game.
Sure.
But tonight, if I were at that game,
Bump standing up. Let's go!
18 minutes is all we need to get a world record.
The wave should be banned from MLB stadiums. Bump says not only should it not be banned, but here in Seattle, we should be going for that 18-minute world record. Curtis, are you boarding the train that the wave should be banned?
Oh, I've never boarded a train with such gusto. I bought 2 tickets. That's how much I'm on this train. The person who starts the wave should be tarred and feathered. They should be arrested. A citizen's arrest should be made on them. I'm not there to do the wave. I'm there to watch a game. Eat my snacks. Not do the wave. Get out of here with that.
Are you on the side of it's distracting to players?
It's distracting to other fans around who want to watch the game.
Well, you got like a minute and a half window before, it comes back
But then it's
around.
back around again.
Yeah,
And then
like an
again.
actual wave that's just hitting you. Like you feel like you're laying down on the beach and it just keeps coming up and hitting you in the face.
And then those fans who are just drunk and belligerent and try to get the wave going when nobody in their section is feeling it, and they just insist on it. 1, 2, 3, and like nobody does it, and they just continue on and on. It's like, buddy, give it up,
Hey,
man.
y'all better get off Curtis's lawn with that wave.
Yes.
Curtis is like, I'm not with that.
God.
Someone said you should ban Curtis from MLB ballparks.
Oh no.
Next up, Logan Gilbert is having a phenomenal season, and he should be the Mariners All-Star representative.
Yeah, easy. That's I'm on that train. You know what? You bought 2 tickets, Curtis. I gotta buy 5 for the Bumpuses. Okay, we're on that train. It's easy. He's the guy. They better not. Yes, Stacy. Just yes. That's all I got. Yes.
Logan Gilbert will be the Mariners All-Star representative. Bump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
Absolutely bored in this one. Nobody else has been more consistent than him throughout the season's first half. And I think it would be great to see Walter represent the Mariners at the All-Star game. So bored in that one.
I'll let you know, Curtis. The 206 says, Curtis, baseball's a family experience. Little kids love the wave. I do it every time.
206, you're not a little kid. I assume.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
If you are,
go read a book.
Yeah, go read a book. You're wasting your summer.
Next up. All right. We'll get out of baseball for this one. Greg Berhalter will be head coach of the United States men's national team in the World Cup.
Yeah, because he is. Because who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it? They've invested so much in this thing already. There is time for him to turn it around. I hope they got some qualifiers coming up. If he starts looking horrible in the qualifiers of the team, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But I think that this team is good enough and talented enough to kind of help him out. It's just a weird situation with Reina being on that team and all the drama behind it. It's awkward.
Berhalter will still be head coach of the national team for the World Cup. Bump says, yeah, I think so. Oh, he's boarding that train.
Yeah.
Curtis, are you?
I don't know if U.S. soccer fans could last another 2 years with Greg Berhalter as their head coach. I don't think it happens. I think he's out of there probably. I would hope he's out of there by the end of the year. It just seems like it's a no-win situation for him. Get somebody else in there. Get some new blood in.
Next up, you guys were helping me decide what to bring to a cookout that I'm going to tomorrow. I have transitioned from being dead set on bringing a Caesar salad to finally accepting that I will just bring wine. The headline, or excuse me, the hype train is this, though. You should, under no circumstances, ever in your life, come empty-handed to a party.
Oh, never. Never show up empty-handed. Never. Ever. This goes along with teaching my sons to shake hands and look men in the eye, to open up doors for women, like to give your seat up for a woman, a child, or elderly woman. You never show up to a function without something. Bars.
Curtis, you
Gave
should
himself bars.
absolutely, positively, under no circumstances, ever show up empty-handed to a party.
Agree, 100%. I'm board in that train. You should never come empty-handed to a function. It's a bad look. It's a horrible look.
Hey guys, I'm here to eat all your food.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm here to not contribute anything. By the way, I'm going to make a plate and take it to go. Too.
We already talked about this yesterday being taboo, and all of us already agreed, but I'll throw on to the hype train that you should also never leave with what you bring.
Yeah, leave it there.
That's tacky.
Yeah.
Never do
Right.
it. I've seen it happen, and every time I judge a little bit.
I'm judging.
I fully admit I'll never say anything. I'll never do any side glances. I'll never do anything, but I will judge silently
I
if
will.
you take back what you brought to the
You
party.
know what I'll do? Curtis, and you probably do this too, Stacey. You'll look at your significant other like, you see that? No words.
Right, no
have
words.
nothing, just eyes. Like,
Yeah.
Just eyes.
Yep.
Of like, interesting. All right, last one here. This one is a fan submission, so I'm throwing it in here. Who sent this? I think Brittany sent this in. Julio should be in the home run derby to get his swing back.
whatever it takes. But I don't think they want him, honestly, in the home run derby this year. He's done nothing to captivate the country like he has the last couple years. But if it works, yeah, go ahead. Throw him in the derby. I'm with that. Let's go.
Julio should be in the home run derby to get his swing back. Bump said, you know what? I'll try anything. Go ahead, do it. Curtis, are you boarding?
It's funny because, like, there was always concern with Julio going into the home run derby. Like, well, what if he's going to mess up his swing? What if he's, not going to be right coming out of the All-Star break? And both years, he's been like the hottest hitter on the planet after leaving the home run derby. So sure, yeah, let's do it. Send him to Arlington just to compete in the home run derby, and maybe, just maybe, he'll find his swing again.
All right, get your questions in for what I need to know. Any question to the Mac and Jack's text line. That number, 866-979-3776. Your questions are answers coming up next.
Window Nation can help beat the heat in your home with a buy two, get two free offer on insulated, energy-efficient windows plus zero down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Schedule an in-home estimate now at 866-90Nation or windownation.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of consumer cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Welcome to Staples, young man. Tomorrow's my big day.
Big day?
First grade.
Aw, well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue.
I need a laptop.
Oh, yeah, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $300 on select PCs for school.
Wait. The finances are Mom's department.
Right.
I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor.
Boy, first grade has really changed.
Tell me about it.
Save big on tech for school with super low Staples hot deals. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Ends 8/24.
I was unable to walk for 3 months. The insurance company was very excited to talk to me and wanted to make sure that I had up to $5,000. My attorney quickly told me, they need to talk to us because there wasn't any amount of compensation that would make up for what I experienced. The Davis Law Group really helped me out.
Girl, let me show you how country feels.
It's time to find out how country feels. Randy Hauser is taking over Muckleshoot Event Center July 28th.
I'll take you up and down these highways.
Get your tickets at muckleshootcasino.com and don't miss Randy Hauser live July 28th. Let's ride.
This is one that we don't want to miss, no.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Plenty of teams talk about a home field advantage, but at T-Mobile Park, the Mariners give it a whole new meaning. You could call it the J-Rod advantage.
That baby is out of here! A two-run homer by Julio!
Or the filthy, dirty, nasty, untouchable advantage.
An absolutely ridiculous slider. It's the 12th strikeout tonight for Logan Gilbert.
Or even the big dumper in the bottom of the ninth advantage.
A walk-off grand slam for Cal Raleigh.
But there's one more thing that gives the Mariners the upper hand every night.
This place is going bonkers.
Make that 47,000 more. Mariners baseball. Trident Sub.
The 4th of July festivities continue all weekend at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners are squaring off against the Blue Jays in a 3-game summer showdown starting tonight at 6:40. Then it's 2 straight afternoon matchups tomorrow and Sunday at 1:10. Don't miss your chance to see Cal Raleigh and the squad take on the Jays. Lock in your tickets today at mariners.com.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line saying they kidnapped my son.
On September 12, 1995, McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas.
There was no sign of forced entry. It was just as if McKay had walked out of his own free will.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, feels that justice was never truly served. Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Guys, this month only, Revive Men Cell Seattle offers qualified patients a free supply of ED medication to kickstart their treatment and enhance intimacy. Book your free T-check, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMenCell.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com. This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I have 2 questions I'm really excited to get to. I'm going to save them until the middle of the segment. because I want to build up to them. Get your questions in for What I Need to Know, brought to you by Cookies Country Chicken, 866-979-3776. That is the Mac and Jack's text line. Which Seattle sports personality's off-air persona is least like their on-air persona?
I feel like to do this job, you got to be yourself, right? I think, this is what my kids say. Whenever I talk on the phone to like my core four, they say I sound completely different. I think that's different as it gets because, man, you get a little more loose with the words and all that stuff. They say, oh, you're talking to your boys again. I'm like, yeah, those are my boys.
I would say the closest is, I think both Salk and I lean into it the most. Like, he leans into, like, I'm elitist. Mm-hmm. And I lean into, like, I'm over it. Like, I would say, like, you become kind of a caricature of yourself, but it's still a version of you.
It is.
Brock is exactly Brock. You're exactly you. Wyman's exactly you. I think Bob is very authentic. Like, everyone else is.
I think you have to be.
You have to be. You have to be a version of yourself. Otherwise, it comes off like, I'm on radio.
Yeah. We're not doing like the news.
Yeah.
The situation in Ukraine.
And if people don't like you, then it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, you just.
I will say, Bub, you bring up our cohorts on the FM side of the building. You'll hear some of them on air talk the way that they do, and then off the air sound nothing like how they sound on the radio. It's like, whoa.
Have you ever seen those videos of like news anchors, especially television news anchors, and they'll be like, this is how I sound when I just narrate my day.
Yeah. And then here I am reading the 6 o'clock news.
I like this one. This is one of my favorite questions. You get to hit Jerry DePoto with some truth serum. What do you think he believes is the reason why good position players come to Seattle and then get bad?
Jerry. So I am Jerry. I'm going to say that I think it's because we change who they are philosophically.
Oh, okay.
And we don't allow them to take the approach that they want to take at the plate, and we try to make them a Mariner.
That's a good answer. It's a little spicy. I would say if you hit him with truth serum, I'd wonder if he'd answer with something like, well, I'd rather get different position players. Or if there are other players he would have liked to get or would have liked to come here that didn't want to, or he couldn't afford, or they couldn't trade for because the team didn't want what they were offering.
They won't let me.
You know what I mean? If there are players where he'd be like, well, just so you know, I targeted this name and he's knocking it out of the park this year. That's what I'd be curious about.
I'd want to know, because the lockout prior to the 22 season, right? The Mariners were mentioned among many free agent bats, and it sounded like Trevor Story was one that was definitely entertaining.
Is that the question you would ask him?
Just kind of like, hey, how close were you to getting one of those guys? Or like, because I think that would have changed the trajectory of a lot of things. It would have probably moved JP over to second base. Like, who knows what this team looks like? And not to say that it would have been Trevor Story that you signed, but maybe like Marcus Semien, somebody like that.
What I need to know, Seth in Fresno, dating advice for a recently separated 30-year-old who was married for 10 years and has no clue how to get back into it.
Asking the wrong brother.
Well,
you're 30 years old, so you still got youth on your side.
To be fair, Seth threw in, preferably Stacy, since Bump and Curtis are in the same boat. Curtis hasn't been married for as long as Bump.
Got 4 years in the game.
Yeah, Bump, you married before like dating apps and the whole scene changed.
Yeah, I'd be a lost puppy.
You've been out of the
there.
Game.
I'd just be walking the streets crying.
I am in a relationship, have been in one. I did not meet my significant other on a dating app.
That's good.
Yeah, but they do complicate things because I think dating apps make people less likely to talk to each other in real life.
Yeah.
And so I will tell you, Seth in Fresno, it's not going to be easy. I think the most important thing to do is be comfortable being exactly where you are in life. To not put pressure on yourself to find someone.
Yeah, you're 30. You're still young.
You're so young. But it'll just date people where, let's say you meet them on an app and you wouldn't typically want to go after that person. Just go on the date and see how it is. Yeah.
Just put yourself out there.
I mean, that sounds stupid, but do it. And also be willing to let yourself have a night in without feeling like you're missing out on a chance to meet someone. if you want to take a night to yourself or a month to yourself or a year,
Take some time to heal, man.
take some time to heal. Anyways, we love you, Seth. Let's see.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Good luck out there, man.
In honor of 4th of July, how many hot dogs with buns could you eat in 10 minutes?
Glizzies?
Maybe like 2.
Yeah, 2.
You don't like glizzies.
They got to be all beef.
I think you guys should do more than 2 in 10 minutes.
No. That's a lot.
If you had to just sit and eat them,
I'm
you're
full
not.
after eating 2 hot dogs.
Yeah, for real.
What I need to know, I'm getting back to that question I mentioned earlier. How concerned should we be with the middle of the defense being mostly unknowns?
You should be concerned because it's unknown to us, but not to them. They picked them up for a reason. They're all on 1-year deals, so obviously it's on some prove it type stuff. But yeah, that's if I am concerned the most, it is about the middle of the defense.
253 giving advice to Seth just said swipe right. Just swipe right.
Just keep doing it.
Just keep swipe right. What I need to know, how do I stay safe this 4th of July?
If you're dealing with fireworks, make sure it's in a safe place where you have a water hose available, ready to save lives. Or just don't touch the dang fireworks.
Don't touch fireworks.
It's pretty easy.
Don't do it. Simply don't. What's the more historic beef? Kendrick and Drake or the Mariners and Hitting?
It's the Mariners and Hitting. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, and at least Kendrick and Drake gave us some good singles.
Yeah.
The Mariners and Hitting woes have given us nothing.
No singles.
Nothing.
No doubles.
Yeah. What I need to know, what is the worst footwear option? Open-toed sandals or Crocs?
Open-toed, because I got me some Crocs,
See, I knew that you would defend your purchase. I know you would try to stand there and defend it.
Y'all wear the Jesus
It's
sandals
Crocs.
walking around? That's
It's
so
Crocs.
dark with Jesus sandals.
There's
sandals that
nothing
like go
wrong
up
with
the
sandals.
calf.
There's
Goodness
nothing wrong with
gracious.
sandals.
I remember
I can't
when
wait till y'all get
gladiator
Crocs.
sandals were a thing. That was a thing when I was in college, and I was like, this is not.
You had some, though.
No, I did not have any gladiator sandals.
Gladiator sandals were a thing.
Yeah.
I've never owned them.
They look stupid.
I wanted them.
You wanted them?
I wanted them.
Never owned them, huh?
Any bad trend you can think of, I did it. Outside of gladiator
Hey.
sandals.
I'm telling y'all, once your feet.
I don't
hit a
want, but
pair
I'm
of
fighting it.
Crocs,
I'm fighting it in a way
is-
that you've
I
given
fought
up.
it too. Only
You
reason why I
gave
got
up.
it because my sister-in-law got them for Christmas for me, and I go, "What the heck?"
You
and I put
gave
them
up.
on, and I'll go, "Yeah."
You
I
could have
get
kept
it.
up the fight.
I didn't.
Now
You
you're
have no
on the other
resolve,
side.
Bum.
None.
None
I'm
whatsoever.
gonna wear them things on Monday just for y'all.
What I need to know, do you guys get invited to other radio shows as guests like you get others on your show?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Not often, but at least for me.
And
But
during
I've
football
done
season.
radio
During
shows. yeah.
football
During
season.
football season,
Yeah,
it's-
I never get invited on as a baseball guest and
Nah.
probably
me neither.
shouldn't.
Football.
But yeah, football for sure. Let's see.
Can you imagine? They call us up on MLB Network. Like, all right, we talking Mariners or what?
Yeah, here we go. We're
Mariners
like,
and
we have
Dodgers.
no answers.
Mariners and Dodgers is all I got for you.
206. What's the best movie you've seen in a movie theater in the last
Ever?
3 months? Well,
Oh.
this said in the last 3 months. What's the
Last
best
3
movie you
months?
saw in the theater where you were like, worth it? This needs to be watched in the theater.
Cool Runnings changed my life. Changed my life.
It was like 30 years ago.
I thought you were going to say something that's like, oh, this is a terribly scary
Cool Runnings.
movie.
It was beautiful.
It's Cool Running.
Cried and everything.
Oh, man.
Creed. I was shadow boxing in the parking lot.
Leaving?
Bruno's walking to the car. Hey, leave me alone.
All right, you guys. Everyone have a safe and happy 4th of July. We will be back with you on Monday. Wyman and Bob coming up next.
Seattle Sports is your exclusive home for Mariners baseball.
That baby is out of here!
Every strikeout,
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Bryce Miller capped his day of 7 scoreless.
every home run,
Goodbye baseball, he did it! Julio Rodriguez
every Mariners win.
and Mitch Haniger, just like the old days. He wins it for the Mariners in the 10th inning.
Stream every game at seattlesports.com or on the Seattle Sports app. We are Seattle Sports.
Ah, the sweet feelings of summer. The kiss of warm sun on your skin. The softly scented breeze blowing through the trees. Don't worry, you have off clean feel. fragrance-free mosquito repellent that feels good on skin, so even mosquitoes can't ruin those sweet feelings of summer. Off Clean Feel. Prevention is the best protection from mosquitoes.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners.
Swing and a miss and a slider, strike three.
With Jeff Passan, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners have arguably the best pitching staff in baseball. I think I'm probably taking the Mariners at the end of the day over every team in the American League right now.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
This is the team to beat in the division. And it's not just a hot take. That's what the numbers say, that they're the team to beat in the division.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients, and you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Do you have a musty, damp, or wet basement? As the soil around your home becomes saturated, pressure pushes water through the tiniest of cracks and joints in your walls and floor. Moisture and water can not only damage your basement with mold and musty odors, it can also impact the health of your family. Matt Vey can install a custom-designed waterproofing system, transforming your basement into dry, healthy, usable space.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
Oluwatimi joining us.
What have you learned about yourself coming into this second year?
Preparing my body differently. Last year was kind of like a trial run. I mean, it was a blessing that not starting, figuring out, okay, what I got to do to prepare myself every week. So learning that, getting my body in better shape, and just understanding snap counts, understanding defensive tendencies, understanding the playbook even better, just knowing football a little better from the NFL, just being in it for, I guess, going into my second year.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well.